Ready?
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome to another episode of Bussin' with your boy, Bussin' with the Boys, Bussin' with your boys. I'm your host, Will Compton, co-host Taylor Lewan. He is out in Canada right now. Your boy just got back from Italy. I'm about as tan as I've ever been. Get a good look. This will be the tannest I will ever be. Before we get into this episode, we have to shout out our sponsor, Expedia, for this episode. I'm just going with you, Chevy. Obviously, Chevy Silverado. Summer is here, and what better way to take advantage of all it has to offer than with the Chevy Silverado. Silverado summer. Think of all the possibilities, from off-road adventures to do-it-yourself projects and hardcore work. Silverado has the capability and technology to make this summer your best one yet. With 9 different Silverado models and engines that range from the powerful TurboMax to the 6.2-liter V8 and the Duramax diesel, you can count on Chevy power and performance to get anything done. And like many of you, the boys have been hitting the road a lot lately, and it seems like everywhere we go, there's an army of Silverados and Silverado owners, even in Italy. So shout out all the boys. Game recognizes game, so head over to Chevy.com and check out Silverado and all the Chevy trucks, the official truck of Bussin' with the Boys. Guys, it is a 2-week vacation is a long vacation. It's a fucking long time to be away, but the wifey wanted it. The wifey wanted 2 weeks. She wanted to travel. She wanted to hit Europe. Back before COVID hit, we had a trip planned, a 2-week trip that had like Italy involved in Europe and Croatia and shit like that. I was fucking ready to put a gun to my head because I don't enjoy being gone that long. But I've never really done it. The most we did was our honeymoon. That was the biggest vacation I ever went on in my life. I'm usually used to being gone for a week, long weekend, maybe 4 days, maybe 5, but never 10, never fucking 2 weeks. But I know how much we've been doing this year, and I know how many sacrifices have had to be made, especially on her end, so we can travel around and do all the things that we do. So Mama wanted a 2-week vacation. The best time to come up with it was late July, early August, in that kind of middle space, around the beginning of training camp and everything else after our summer, because we had a lot of big things in the summer with our Beer Olympics, which was an incredible showing. I forget what we did. I think, I wanted to go home for the 4th of July, Bonne Terre, Missouri, see the beautiful dirt and fucking brown out there. And so the wife wanted to go on a 2-week vacation. I was all for it just because, again, that was her like big thing she wanted to do. She wanted to take our beautiful child Rue with us. That was a tall task as well that we can get into. My only stipulation was that we ride first class or business class on the way there and back, because it is a long fucking flight. And that's what I don't like about those vacations that take a long fucking time to travel to. My wife's half Filipino. She wanted to go to the Philippines one year. I committed to it, was fully, my flight was booked and everything else, backed out last minute, didn't want to do it. I'm just kidding. Free agency started. My agent was like, what are you doing? You can't like leave the country when free agency is starting, because you might have to go on visits and everything else. That was the year I signed with the Titans. So when I backed out, and she was upset about it, because I made a bonehead mistake, like I seem to always do. And fortunately, when she was gone, that was when I went to Buffalo and then Tennessee. But hate long trips. My only stipulation was to be the first class, everything else, so you can lay flat, especially if we're traveling with fucking Rue. 16 months old. Love her to death. She's the best fucking child on the planet. But traveling with the toddler is tough. It's war. Yeah, you are in battle. You are in the fucking trenches. And make no mistake, we were in the trenches a lot compared to all the high, the positives that I showed on Instagram and everything else. We get to the day of travel, and as everybody knows, I had to take the entire country into war with Expedia. Why? Because when we got to the airport a smooth 2 hours early, we were packed and ready to go. And when I tell you it was time for a trip, I was excited to get away. I was excited to go to Italy. I was convinced. I'm like, oh, we're eating fucking pizza, pasta. I carb loaded the entire time I was out there. And when we get to the airport and realize there's a little bit of a pickle that we're in, and I was like, Tapper, I was like, hey, good thing we got to the airport early. You were right. And we kind of chuckled and stuff. Rue was being an all-star at the airport. We spent about 4 hours at the airport, only to find out that we were nowhere in the computers. We were nowhere in the system. And mind you, we had our receipts. Like, we had a receipt number, we had ticket numbers, we had our British Airlines seats, our seat numbers that we were going to be on, showed in the seat map. However, British Airlines at the airport did not have us on the seat map anywhere in the computers. The only flight where we didn't have the seating assignment was our flight from Nashville to JFK because we had an infant, lap child, lap seat, whatever. So they were going to give it to us at the desk. You know how that goes, JP. We had a little tiff with Taylor at the airport with his seat not being assigned. So I was a little nervous about that. However, so okay, we got our child. We're just going to JFK. If everything fails, I'll just buy this trip from here to JFK, and then we get on that British Airlines flight from JFK to London, like was supposed to happen. American Airlines, they don't see us in the system anywhere. We pull out their seat. We got this. The only thing we were told is that we had to get our seat assignment at the desk. We're here at the desk. We got a lot of looks that were like, oh shit, this family is not on these flights. They are not going to Italy right now. So it seems like we couldn't just get on the flight to JFK. We back out of the line. I look up, the boy, adapt, improvise, overcome. Let's figure this out. We're going to Italy. I see the look on my wife's face. I see what's been going down. I know where this can go. This thing can go south fast.
So, you get to stay home, though.
Low key, there's a point where I'm like, man, it would suck, Sweetheart, I'll make sure we're in Italy. We'll go somewhere in the States.
We'll go back to 38.
Yeah, we'll go back. I was already thinking, let's do maybe 38. It's a little hot right now. Maybe we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll go to Montana. But maybe we'll stay in the States, maybe get that thing down to 10 days, but we will go somewhere, sweetheart. Don't you worry. We will figure this out. I see that there are flights available on that JFK flight. Hey, babe, there's still some first class seats right here. We can fucking get there to JFK. Once we get to JFK, we get on that same flight. The same flight to JFK was still there. They told us there were no seats. We messed with a gentleman that was not very much a gentleman. Fortunately, American Airlines, I will not shit on them because they made it happen for us. This lady, God bless her, worked endless to the fucking end of time to get all of our situation figured out. However, that situation that got figured out ended up being north of a lot of fucking money. Let's just put it that way. And so I go up and I'm like, hey, here's the flight to JFK. We just buy this, we'll be good to go, right? No, you're not on the British Airlines flight. Ma'am, our seat is right here. It says we're on the Sir, I'm just letting you know, I'm looking at the computers, the British airline people, they don't get in here till 4 p.m., but I've been on the phone with them, One Traveler, One World, or whatever, all the different phone companies, plane companies, whatever. You're not on the flight. We need to be on the flight. You see what I'm saying? We need to be on that flight. My wife comes up, hey, what's happening, sweetheart? You should probably talk to this gal because I'm not quite sure how we're going to get on this flight. It doesn't seem like we're going to Italy anytime soon. Spent another time, I'm fucking wheeling and dealing All-Star Dad, like putting Rue to sleep. It's nap time. She's getting a little fussy. I'm like, fuck, man, this is not good. And come to find out, we can't go to Italy. However, we can now book. So 4 months ago, we book our flights on Expedia. We've seen all the back and forth on Twitter. We've seen the comments. Listen, we booked our flights through Expedia, which I have done in the past. I did with our trip to Bora Bora for our honeymoon. Go ahead, JP.
The people want to know, did you book these flights or did Charo book the flights?
I booked the flights.
The people, you were correct. They said Charo would never make this mistake.
She wouldn't. She would. And there was no fault. There was never at any moment in time of Charo being upset with how the process went. It was the lack of communication that we didn't know that we were apparently never seen booked on this flight, which is where the issue was. And 4 months ago, I booked these flights. Again, my only stipulation, we get the lay down seats. We travel first class to Italy and back, especially with a toddler. And if we're only doing 2 seats, because if we're not getting the 3rd seat for Rue, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not sitting, I'm not doing it. And 4 months ago, round trip, about 10 grand, which is a steal. That's a steal for this round trip to Italy. Fired the fuck up. We did it. We're going. Fast forward the day of, we're not on the flight. So now we have to rebook. I'm telling you, the price that I had to swipe the card on was more than 2 times that amount. And I tell Charo, and I see the look on her face. I'm like, hey, sweetheart, don't you fuck. This is not going to be the issue because we got to get to Italy. We're going to Italy. And then Charo gets on the phone with Expedia customer service while we're driving home. The person who dropped us off, she's now coming back to pick us up. Hey, good to see you again. We're not fucking on the trip. We're staying here tonight. And we're on the phone with Expedia, and I'll spare you all the bullshit. Essentially, the customer service, like a lot of these big fucking companies, they just drag you through the mud until you want to quit. There's nothing. They can barely speak English. Let me talk to the team. Put you on hold for 30 to 40 minutes, come back. There's nothing we can do, or we'll give you a few $100s in credit. We get back home, and Charles like, should I hang up? And I'm like, no, stay on the phone. Stay on the phone. We'll ride this out. We're going to sit on hold as long as we need to. We get home. We give Rue some food. I order pizza. I tell my wife, sweetheart, we're in Italy. We're fucking going to Italy tonight. It's going to be Italy at the house. Pour out some wine, get out some wine, some bottles of wine. I order some pizza. I go and pick up the pizza. We're in fucking Italy. And we're on hold this whole time. And ultimately, they're not able to do a whole lot. Then we get to somebody who we can speak to that's a little bit more competent at their job. They're like, hey, we'll pay for the upcharge of your tickets. That was solid. But I'm sitting there marinating on it. We got to change. We have to change now. Our trip basically essentially gets moved back a day. So instead of July 28th to August 12th, it's now July 29th to August 13th. With that, we had some cooking classes. We had some excursions that we were doing. We had our entire thing booked and planned and all that stuff. We had to change some stuff around now, which is going to cost more money. We had to switch hotels. We had to do we had to do an extra day in Capri. We had to switch things around to make sure it all like aligned back up again, hoping that we would still be able to get on a couple of the things that we're supposed to get on. So we're still having to come out of pocket for some more money. That didn't sit right with me. So that is when I had to, take him, go to the pantry, talk about the situation, use social media and leverage the influence and the political power that may be. And so as we get going and I'm updating and do all this other stuff, I get to finally talk to somebody who's like more so the higher ups and everything else. We give them the ticket number and everything else because Expedia was trying to pass the bag and say, this is the airline's fault. We were standing there with the airline. That lady worked her ass off to try and figure it out. Like, no. This is somebody, the bag got dropped along the way and the credit cards and the fucking transaction and everything else. We need answers. So Expedia made the entire trip right. And it was a big win for House Compton and America because we almost had to sink their entire ship. I thought when Barstool, when we were going to have that team meeting, I'd text Dave and ask him, are we buying Expedia? If so, make me the GM. We need to make this company run a little bit better. Because I think like the customer service end just a debacle. And nobody is competent enough, nor do they care because they have to stick to a script. And then they essentially do the fucking bullshit. Let me talk to my team. They ain't talking to nobody. They're just putting you on hold. Can't do nothing. Hoping you hang up. And nobody has the power to actually make a decision. But they take forever to try to get you to somebody who can make a decision. Fortunately, it all worked out. But that is the story about traveling to Italy and the Expedia and everything else. Are there any questions? Do you feel like I covered everything?
Yeah. So ultimately, were you were comped?
Yes.
100%.
100%. Free trip to Italy.
Free Willy.
Free Willy. Free Willy Italian. The trip got comped. It got taken care of. We had a nice email that came to us. I showed my wife when when we traveled over there, we were supposed to go from JFK to London to Naples, I believe, or Florence. I don't know if Florence has an airport. I don't know, but it was we only had like 2 stops basically. We had to rebook. We had to do an extra. We had to do a 3rd stop, longer layover. We were in Madrid, and that's when we got the email. I was like, hey, sweetheart, check this out. Because she was kind of like chuckling and like, why are you going to make a video? I was like, let's just see what fucking happens. Like,
I know that felt good too.
Yeah. Because sometimes when I make the videos, there's a little bit of doubt that creeps in around me. Like, why you gonna just, let's see this through, see what happens. The small guy had to stand up to the big $1 billion company. Somewhere along the lines, when something goes viral enough, haters come out of the woodwork. There's some negativity out there. Oh, look at this guy who makes millions and does all this, who's fucking bitching and stuff until he gets a free trip. We stood up to a $1 billion company, 18 billion market cap to be exact. The little man had to stand up, and there needed to be a voice for the voiceless. Not everybody can get on and talk and complain about how bad the customer services ran in companies like that. That is essentially the vessel that I was being. Was it trying to work out my benefit? Yeah. Am I not being like, sorry, I'm not standing and being like, hey, make sure everybody who gets fucked up, make sure their trips get comped. If I see a bad situation, I am on their side. But something, the New York Post started writing about it. Dave comes in. It's like, hey, Dave, I thought you're trying to lead the ship. You don't look like you're trying to lead the ship. It seems like you're making it seem like we made a boneheaded decision. Whether that's up for debate or not, fine. It doesn't matter. I've always used Expedia. They've never burned me. I've always been an Expedia cat, Priceline hotels. I'm always looking for the cheaper option. That's how it's got to work. I've been that way since in college time. You can't forget where you come from because then you forget who you are.
Oh, hey, you might have inspired Oliver Anthony to write that song.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Bullshit pay them overtime hours.
The rich men up in Richmond.
Yeah. They look back. They know that we know. But until somebody can fucking stand up strong enough and can be a little loud enough from the trenches of social media. But yeah, we got a free trip to Italy.
Will you be using Expedia again?
Absolutely. Now, here's where the accountability for myself has to come into play, because there is accountability in all ends, right? You can't just watch film and be like, coach made the bad call here or made the wrong call. I was put in the bad position. The safety behind me gave the wrong call. There's accountability for everybody to be had. Where my accountability lies is essentially a week in advance or days in advance. I need to figure out that we are established to be on these flights. That was a learning experience. Now, when they're like, hey, can you look back at your credit card and confirm? A lot of fucking transactions happen on my credit card. I did look back and it didn't fully go through. It was on hold for I don't know how long. And then ultimately it just never went through. Because I remember getting the little banner come down on my phone that we bought it because my wife and I, we smiled. We did a little yippee-yay in the kitchen. We did it. We fucking booked it. We spent $10,000 to get this trip to go to Italy. And so I saw that banner come down. Now, when I looked back at my credit card statement, it didn't fully go through. So yeah, that is a mishap on my part. However, when it doesn't fucking go through, where's the communication that, hey, this didn't fucking happen? Because again, we had our receipt number down to our seat assignment on our British Airlines flight to London. That was another thing. The same flights were still available from Nashville to JFK and JFK to London on British Airlines. However, the lady at American Airlines was on the phone with British Airlines, and she even told me ahead of time, she goes, even though that's available, they're not going to let you book the day of. Because I was like, we can bite the bullet and pay for these fucking flights. And there were a couple options, which was like quadruple. And that was when I was like, we're going to get this figured out at some point. But right now, in the midst of chaos, when shit's hitting the fan, we need to make sure we're going to Italy. But you couldn't buy a day of flight on British Airlines. I don't know the reason. I have no clue. Because there were still seats available. It's like, we can get on these same exact flights. We just have to kind of buy a day of versus when we bought 4 months ago at a way cheaper price. So that is where I would say my accountability lies. But there's no urgency. There's no play to take that and show any type of that weakness when you are in the middle of war, when you are in the middle of negotiation with Expedia. You can't let that leak in the pipe happen. You got to stay strong to you got to stay in 10 toes down. That's what we did. That's what we did as a country. And again, for all the haters, get fucked.
Another L.
Yeah, another L. Which leads me into my next segment, shittiest moment, presented by Dude Wipes. Are you still using toilet paper? Fucking stop. Drop the TP, pick up the Dude Wipes, the wet extra large flushable wipe that clears instead of smears. Wiping wet just cleans better than wiping dry. Get confidently clean with Dude Wipes that gets all the shit toilet paper left behind. You can pick up Dude Wipes on Amazon or Walmart and Target nationwide. Shittiest moment of the trip is going to also lead into my shout out, no free shout out. The shittiest moment on my trip, and it is without a fucking doubt, boys, it is getting on that flight from London to Nashville. The benefit, when we were on Capri, we had to wake up 4 a.m. in the morning, local time, Capri. Wake up, get a taxi down to the port, go from the port, get on a ferry, massive boat. Get on a ferry, which seemed a little dicey. There were some fellas on there. I was like, we could be in a situation at any moment. I'm not fucking lying. There are a few chicks. They seemed like hookers that they were traveling with these fucking security motherfuckers. They look like the cats from like Taken. Because big bald motherfucker, black beard, like looked like you don't want to fuck with this dude.
Andrew Tate?
No, not Andrew Tate. Not Andrew Tate. But he comes out of the bathroom and it's kind of an open, there's a lot of seats. So fortunately we had some space because we're Rue's being awesome at this point. We're traveling smooth. We're worried about just making sure we get on our flights because we don't want to the same day before. We're like, hey, we're confirmed for tomorrow's flights, yada, yada. And this guy comes out of the bathroom and walks next to this gentleman trying to fall asleep, just does a massive clap next to him, kind of like wakes him up. The guy like looks, and as he's like walking by, he kind of looks back and chuckles. I'm thinking, we got a fucking bully, possibly a murderer on this flight. They're sitting kind of away from the girls and kind of looking around and stuff like that, but it felt a little dicey. And so we take a ferry over to Naples. Napoli. And when we go from on Napoli, we get on the flight to Napoli, fly up to London, and then London over to Nashville, which is a smooth transitions. We get to London. We eat at the London airport, beautiful airport, by the way. And Rue's being phenomenal at this point. This is the shittiest moment is traveling with your toddler. We get on the flight to come to Nashville. Rue decides that she wants to have the worst moment in her 16 months of life while we're all seated around everybody. And I'm talking hyperventilation. I'm talking we were in the shit. We were in the fucking trenches.
You almost leave?
That was one point where I look back and if I had the option of taking the electric chair, I would have taken the electric chair. It got so bad that there was one moment trying to like, Rue, you have to stop crying. Like you have to calm down and breathe. Cause we're weathering the storm. We're sitting there, we're fucking doing this. I'm hitting the fucking, we doing, hey, here's Tiger. Oh, look at this. Look at the plane. Look out there. Look at this. Trying to get her calm. Cause she's just overtired. She hasn't taken a nap. We're trying to get her to sleep. She wants to climb on stuff. She wants to, sweetheart, you can't do that right now. We have to put this red seatbelt on you. She didn't want to be confined. She's very independent, wants to move, wants to be out and about. Doesn't want to be confined by the infant seatbelt. It even got to a point to where some older gentleman, you heard like as she's crying, you just hear, wah, wah. And buddy, when I tell you that I wanted to come unglued, we stayed composed. And I kind of did one of those things where I kind of like sit up and I like look around and I'm trying to make contact with anybody it could have been throughout the thing, just to let them know, hey, I know he's an old man and you're about to get the young bull. The paws were about to be pawed on this old man.
Come for the belt.
Yeah, come for the belt. Shot at the title might have had to happen. Charles seemed to think that, hey, I think something is a little off with the old man, so that we'll give him that reason. But I was ready to fucking drag this person because there's nothing worse. First of all, there's nothing worse than that happening. My anxiety already builds up because I don't like, hey, let's fucking, we got to keep level heads. I know you're 16 months old, but we need to have some poise. You're not going to make it to the second preseason game. You're going to have to turn your iPad quick if you keep this shit up. And the parents are in it, right? You know, you have to stay, whatever. Another lady, hey, we think she's this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, fucking stay over there. We appreciate you for helping. We know ultimately you just want to help out as well. But you're in it. You're upset. You're tired yourself. But that was the shittiest moment brought by Dude Wives of the trip, which leads into my shout out, no free shout out. There is no better feeling. Go ahead.
It's sponsored. Yeah, so we got to do 2 separate ones. It's Paramount Plus.
Okay. That Rue having the worst moment in her 16 months of life had to happen when we haven't even taken off from the flight in London. We're still sitting on the runway. Bags took too long to get loaded, apparently. We're an hour delayed. So we're sitting an extra hour on top of that 8-hour flight. Rue's having this moment, minute 20, probably spanned out over 25 minutes for dad, fucking FOTY, Father of the Year, gets her to sleep. Thank God. I'm talking not only get her to sleep, but she's so hot and sweating from all the hyperventilating and crying. I'm sweating, I'm leaking everywhere, and I just have to sit and take it, boys. And just smile. Guy next to me, Stevenson Ranch, rocking a Stevenson Ranch hat. Even more paramount that I stayed poised, but he looks over and smiles. He's like, we have a 7-month-old. Like, just trust us. Like, you're not bothering us. I'm thinking, she's bothering you. She's bothering me. And it's all right if she's not bothering you because I'm in it right now. But leads me into my next shout out, no free shout out, which is brought to us by Paramount Plus. Guys, stick with us. There's a lot of ads on this episode. It is what it is. But this shout out, no free shout out, is coming to us from Paramount Plus. Can you feel it? Do you feel that tickle that's going on down in the forest?
What is that?
It's almost that time of year. That time of year, football season. Once again, you're home to stream the NFL on CBS all season long. Your Paramount Plus account also gives you an all-access pass to 24/7 NFL content all week with CBS Sports HQ, that's headquarters, short for headquarters, Fantasy Football Today, NFL Slime Time, and much more. Stream Paramount Plus on any device, at home or on the go, and follow the road to Las Vegas as Josh Allen, the boy, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, the boy, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and all of the NFL's best try to take down Patrick Mahomes, not the boy, and the defending champion, the Chiefs. Watch your local game live every Sunday starting at $2.50 a month for 12 months. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to start your free trial today. The offer ends on September 20th. Annual plan only. Terms and conditions apply. Stream the NFL on CBS Live on Paramount Plus. Which leads me into my shout out, no free shout out. There is no better feeling than once you arrive and touch down on U.S. soil, drive home, get home to a clean house, and get in your fucking sheets, boys. Baby goes down easy and smooth because she was overtired. Again, we battled a long time on that 8-hour flight. And we had such a great vacation. Like, Italy was incredible, breathtaking. All the spots we went to offered something different. And I'm sitting there wondering, why am I so fucking happy to be home? And I thought about the shittiest moment when we had to battle for those 8 hours on that fucking flight home. We were so happy to get home. And when I laid down, because the beds were a little stiff in Italy. Just FYI, anybody in Italy over there listening right now that owns a hotel, beds are a little stiff. But the comfort of your own bed and crawling in them sheets and getting home and getting back from a long trip, being gone a long time, we've been smiling ever since. But that is my shout out, no free shout out, is getting home after a long fucking vacation. Brought to you by Paramount Plus. Taste the mountain. What else has happened, man? Barstool. Dave Portnoy fucking does it again. Savage. One of the, it's been said and talked about, one of the Hall of Fame business deals years ago. What is it, 3 years ago? Penn bought Barstool Sports for north of $500 million, half a billy, as they like to say. And now 3 years later, seems like Penn got into a position to where we didn't make the right decision as far as wanting to capitalize on the market share that we thought we could acquire versus their competitors like DraftKings and FanDuel and all the others that are out there. So they wanted to make a pivot and get in bed with ESPN. So when you've acquired Barstool, now you got to go back to where that conversation started. All roads lead back. It was always Dave Portnoy. And Dave, at this point, now has the leverage to, okay, well, how do you want to do this? Now you sign a little non-compete for several months and you get your company back. Oh, and you have to give 50% of the proceeds if a sale happens again. Dave is probably never going to sell Barstool Sports again. So Penn will probably never see that upside of that 50%. This is a massive win for all of them. And a lot of people were like, I was seeing people say, oh, this is hilarious. Penn realized like Barstool sucks. They weren't the right partner, yada, yada, yada. Like, Barstool now has full control of their brand again. Like, they have full control of the pirate ship. Dave Portnoy owns 100% of that. And now there's new life, and you can see it already. You can feel it. You can hear it. There's new life in all the Barstool offices. They're having all those meetings and everything else. You can see every personality now has new life injected into them because they're now in full control and back to what they were known as, which is, Dave said it, content, content, content. They don't have to worry about when you're in that world of, what does he call it? That regulated world of the corporate world, publicly sold companies, all that kind of stuff. It's more of a bottom line mentality. And when things aren't going well, they might be funny to you. Oh, that could be a good little shtick. That could be this, that, the other. If it's not pouring into the bottom line, you have to cut them loose because you have to worry about the bottom line more than anything else because you have to appease the shareholders and the people, the powers above you that are there. Because again, it's a publicly traded company and they're competing against all the big players in the industry, right? And the reason it's a win for Barstool because they now have full control. They are now operating the way they want to operate freely with no like the Mincy's back. Day one, sign Mincy back. The pirate ship is back to what it was known as. Their authenticity, their creativity, allow their creators to create, and it's all about fucking good content. Work your dick off and create good content, knowing that Dave is not going to sell, and Dave is you can kind of see the energy that Dave now has getting back into it, leading with that iron fist, messing with everybody back at HQ. The reason it's a win also another reason it's a win for Barstool, because I'm somebody who has some stock equity and stock options in Penn with my individual deal that I had when Bussin extended their deal. The reason that is a big win is now that they're no longer in the public eye partnered with a company like Barstool, they're now partnered with a company like ESPN. ESPN's throwing a fuckload of money. I've been seeing that. It's like, hey, this is seen as kind of a Hail Mary because ESPN's been a little late getting into the game. However, you go from, I want to say Barstool is around how many monthly viewers? What's their monthly audience? Like 16 million? Yeah. I could be butchering that, but let's just say it's 1 or 2/10 of what the ESPN audience is. And ESPN on the outside looking in, Disney, all that other stuff, they're buddied up as more of like the good player, not the edgy, holy shit, they're in bed with Barstool. People hate them. They want to see them go down, so every hit piece will come out. No, they're in with a partner like ESPN. Now they have big players like McAfee and everybody else. Now with Penn positioned and partnered with ESPN, now you can see people who are in the game with the stock and everything else. That hopefully, knock on wood, we're all rooting for it to work out. The partnership with Penn and ESPN, you want it to work because you want the stock price to go higher, because then the money that everybody had in Penn that was with Barstool, that goes higher as well. So everybody that's like, oh, it's hilarious, Dave's failing, he lost so much money, the stock plummet, yada yada. No, now we get to sit back and Barstool gets to root for the $1 billion corporate entity because there's some skin in the game still there, right? So that is why it is ultimately a win for a place like Barstool. Where it's a win for Penn is they are now partnered with, they need to acquire more market share. The deal, they had to sit back and look at it with Barstool. That wasn't a good enough move to acquire Barstool and lean on them fully to establish a higher market share when it comes to competing against the DraftKings and the FanDuel. Now they have to partner with somebody that's a more credible corporate entity like an ESPN to hopefully drive that market share up, because now they're going to be hopefully in more homes. You hope people like Pat McAfee and them get involved. They're pushing this ESPN bet, the same sports book and operation and tech that Barstool Sportsbook was using. Now hopefully they pour into that tech with ESPN and they boost that to the moon. So that's why it seems like a win for everybody. And the win for ESPN, there's no acquisition to be made. They're licensing their brand. So Penn, the spot that they're in, they go from buying a company to acquire market share. Now they're out of it. Now they got to spend 3x. And instead of owning a company, now they're licensing it for 10 years, hoping that this move pays off and acquires them more market share. So there's a lot of moving parts, but ultimately it seems like the right move for everybody and a big win for everybody. The one you're rooting for and everything else is now Penn, because they're making these big pivots and trying to pour in, hey, let's fucking try and acquire a little bit more market share and utilize a company like ESPN, because we feel like we might be capped out and tapped out with Barstool. So did all that make sense?
The art of the deal.
The art of the deal. Dave bought that company back for $1 fucking.
And it was, like you said, win-win. One win was probably a little bit bigger than the other, but it's win-win.
Yeah, it is a win-win. Like at the end of the day, you're gonna see everybody talk about, people are like, oh, Dave's gonna sell his stock. There's no reason to sell the stock. It's still sitting at a spot where during COVID, it was up as high as 100 per share at one point. But it's not where and if you sell now, there's a lot of like taxing penalties that happen if you sell in the short term. So you want to root for them. Hey, go run off into the sunset with you. We get to do our thing, what we are best at. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to stress every night about what the bottom line looks like. Dave has made so much money that he gets to sit back and run it however he wants to run it. And he empowers his creators to do so, and everybody to kind of run their thing and do their thing, which is what you want. But yes, it is a win-win nonetheless. We've been slinging it, boys. What else do we have?
Tier talk.
Tier talk. What do we want our tier talk to be? The tier talk, Oh, well, we'll wait. We'll take a pause right now. We'll take a little bit of a breather, and we'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah, we can do pet peeve. Tier talk, it could be like best Italian dishes or best overall cuisines. I don't know if we'd want Taylor to be here for
It's kind of
that.
tough on the best. Yeah, yeah. Because Taylor thinks Italian's overrated.
Oh.
I'll say this, just going back on the Italy trip, because I essentially just talked about the Expedia and the shitty travel back and the shout out that led into that. Dude, Italy, we hit Florence, Rome, Sorrento, and some of the Amalfi Coast, and then Capri. Every spot in Italy has just something different to offer. Like, it was incredible. You start off in Florence and you just feel the vibe of, like, this is going to sound cheesy, but like, love and passion. It's the fucking gay. It sounds a little gay, but
You changed.
the cuisine, the walking in their streets and their buildings, and like, I don't know, man. It was incredible. It was awesome. You just felt like you weren't on the people over in Italy, especially in Florence, you're not on the hamster wheel of life. You're not on the grind of just, I'm sure people are over there, but I'm just the vibe walking around. Everyone's so hospitable. Everyone is so nice. It was awesome. Then you go to Rome, and dude, the history in Rome is insane. I found myself on ChatGPT just getting lost and asking all questions about like how Rome fell, because all the statues, and you realize there's buildings that are standing there for 2,000 years. Why are they still standing there? Why is they etched in this concrete into statues and storytelling and everything else? Why did it fall? What Roman emperors came through that ultimately led to the fall of ancient Rome? How did it move forward? And how did Catholicism become such a mainstay over there when Rome fell at the time? Because then we go over to the Vatican and you're touring all of those cathedrals and everything else and seeing where the Pope was and all that shit. And it's just insane. And then you understand. And again, I was never a history guy growing up. I was like math and science, like, because math and science are more objective than anything else. There's not a lot of subjectivity like history and fucking English, those classes, and writing and reading. And so I never really cared for history, but I'm sitting there listening to everything. And again, with ChatGPT, I know that sounds hilarious, but you're learning about Michelangelo being up there for 5 years, painting that Sistine Chapel. And it's just fucking insane. All of the history that's there and how it has stood the test of time, why it stood the test of time, why stories have changed. And now you're going on tours, and why these people leading the tours are saying it this way and not a different way. And I'm wanting to learn about how the emperors, because, the victors write history. So it's like, I wonder how these powers came about. Then you're seeing the Colosseum, and thousands of men died. Like, at any given moment, 50 to 80,000 people stacked that place, screaming for death and fucking bloodshed, loving it. And it's like the modern day gladiators of the UFC that we have now, and thinking about playing football and just for entertainment, everything else. Like, it was no different. However, it was fucking death. People died, man versus man. They wanted to spice it up, man versus animal, animal versus animal. They're bringing in fucking giraffes for men to fight because they're exotic and they weren't known. So it's like, oh, what the fuck are these beasts gonna be like? Only to get taken down by the sword. But all of these different games just to entertain the masses, it's insane.
And now look at us.
And now look at
Yeah,
us.
Char, can you get that sunscreen on my back?
Yeah, that SPF 50. You might get in that fucking what's it called? That I forget what the sunscreen's called. But you're right. Can we get the AC? Like, with these fucking hotels in here, we need a little bit more. Italy needs to bang the AC a little bit more. I'll tell you that, because it gets a little stuffy over there. And I want AC blasted in the car. I want AC blasted in my hotel room. But yeah, now look at us bitching over Expedia. Put us in the arena. Soft, man. But it was fucking awesome. We watched Gladiator one night because you just get so motivated and inspired by it all. Then you go from Rome, which is exactly like, just like I'm going to butcher all this, but just the stone and the red and like the vibe, the environment it feels. Then you're in Florence and there's more greenery and, like I said, love, poetry, shit like that. Then you go down to Sorrento and just a gorgeous fucking place, like out of a Disney movie. Insane. Then you go over to Capri and you're getting a tour around the island and you just see, it all, man, like art. It's fucking weird. It does something weird to you that makes you want to look into it. And it's like, maybe I kind of do want to pick up the book Sapiens. Maybe I kind of do want to read up on history now, because you just get like You just feel it over there. It's really cool, man. But Italy was awesome. Is there a tier talk that we can now go off of? This tier talk will be brought to us by Whistle Pig Whiskey. Boys, there's different kinds. We got the rye, which is what they're known for out in the hills of Vermont, the mountains of Vermont. They're aged 10 year. They're a small batch rye from Whistle Pig. I like their 12 year the best. Their 10 is fucking phenomenal and very popular. They're most known for their 6 year. That's the one that gets sold by the masses everywhere else. And then they got a little spice. They got a little spice in their nuts. And they wanted to drop a bourbon. Their bourbon, they wanted to partner with Bussin with the Boys. That's why you see our little sticker. We got to pick our bottle of bourbon while we were out there in Vermont. So you can get these Whistle Pig bottles anywhere at your local retailers that sell Whistle Pig. Summer Fridays are a thing of the past. It's time for the Friday Rye Day and Whistle Pig Whiskey. Grab yourself a glass, grab yourself a bottle, like I just said, a bottle of Whistle Pig Whiskey, and kiss your workday goodbye this summer. Summer Rye Day, brought to you by Whistle Pig. We will now talk about our tier talk that's brought to us by Whistle Pig. And our tier talk this week will be...
It can be Greatest Warriors, like, Gladiator, Troy, Alexander the Great.
I watched Troy.
You did?
I wanted to text you, but by the time I got done watching, I'm like, okay, he's probably in bed right now. Like, you're on a weird fucking schedule, time clock when you're over there. But I watched Troy. Hey, loved it. How sexy is that motherfucker, Brad Pitt?
Achilles! So sick.
That is why your name won't be remembered.
Yeah.
A little kid.
Dude.
When Iggy Johnson told that story, I'm thinking he's talking to some fucking adult. He's talking to some little boy. Are you never scared? I saw this man. You won't be able to beat him. He's massive.
Oh.
That's why your name won't be remembered.
We can do that. We can do best smells.
I'm not prepared for tier talk.
Best amenities on a plane ride.
We go for best smells.
Best smells.
Best smells. JP, do you want to kick us off with best smells? Tier talk.
All right. Yeah, I can do this. You can do this, JP. Let's see. Tier 3. I will go with fresh cut grass.
Talk to him. Sing to him.
You feel the hard work when you smell the fresh cut grass, and that's always a nice smell. Tier 2, Japanese food, and I love especially when you can smell it when you're driving past the Japanese restaurant. You're like, oh man, what was that? Or free samples. Those smells from the Japanese places are really good. And tier 1, on the opposite spectrum, would be a fart that really smells. And everybody, don't lie. Only if it's coming from you though, not somebody else's. Because when you Dutch oven yourself in the bed, we all do take that small little sniff.
You have to.
And if it is ripping, you're like, you hate it, but you kind of love it. You're like, that was impressive.
Like, God damn, this shit is rank.
But you don't share that with anybody.
No.
But you do everybody smells it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are my best smells.
Nice. I love that. Jack.
Oh, am I going on one?
You're 3.
Off by
Pussy.
JV putting something that comes out of your ass as the best smell out there.
Go ahead. Go an inch north. Tell them what a tier 3, your tier 3 smell is.
Tier 3 for me is fresh cooked bacon in the morning. Waking up to that, the sizzle, a good breakfast plate, especially when it's unannounced and someone just kind of woke up early and is cooking breakfast maybe for the squad. That's a great one. Tier 2 is going to be dryer sheets in the laundry. The smell really like freshens up that load after it gets out of the dryer. Love that smell. Number 1.
Not so easy.
No, it is. It's just it's not going to be ass. I know that. It is Subway in the early 2000s.
Yes, dude.
You know what I'm talking? Like it doesn't
Hell
hit me
yeah.
anymore, but Subway back in like 2007 or 8, you walk in there. I don't know what it was. It had something in that bread, but yeah, something about Subway in like the mid to late 2000s was a special time. So yeah, that's my number 1.
That is
Mitch.
My tier 3, it's going to be walking into a diner. Just that smell of all like the fresh baked goods, the fresh breakfast, the bacon, like what Jack said, and just breakfast food and the environment of the diner. It's just like I'm ready to just pound some food.
Hard.
My tier 2 is what JP said, fresh cut grass. Just the like smelling that reminds me personally of fall and like a football. And it's just like, hey, we're back. Like football is back. And you just can't beat that. Like just with football in the air is that fresh cut grass in the air. And my tier 1 is gasoline. The smell going to like the gas. I'm not gonna smell it.
Hey, I'm low key. You took mine.
It smells like gas. I was pumping gas.
I'm not gonna smell your hand right now, but I get it. But like just when you're at like when you're
ball sack
just at the gas station and like you just
my tier 1.
It's definitely
Easy nuts.
It's definitely not good for you.
Easy balls.
But my tier 1, yeah.
Gasoline. I like that. I fuck with that. For that reason, I guess I won't use it because gasoline was in mine as well. My tier 3 is going to be at fall weather. The autumn leaves. That crisp wind that hits your nostrils when you step out that front door. And you know, could be Thursday, could be Friday. You know the weekend is upon us. You know that college game you're going to go to is that much closer. That car you're about to jump in for a little road trip to the college game. That Sunday NFL game you're going to watch with the boys is that much closer. And the radio, you fuck with it a lot more when it's fall time, football season, like you said, with your fresh cut grass. But that autumn wind, when Spooktober is here, and you just have those nice Friday morning vibes when you step out the front door. That, again, that crisp that hits the nostrils. My tier 2 is going to be the body odor from the shoulder pads. When you walk in the locker room on that first day of whether it's training camp and you know it's here. And you smell them pads and they fucking stink and you crave it. Like, am I going to put my shoulder pads on today with no undershirt? Am I going to give a little whiff to the little belt to connect, to smell that odor a little bit more, to know that sweat equity is getting put in? That's my tier 2, the body odor of shoulder pads. My tier 1 is going to be cow manure. When you're driving out in the country or you're in the country and you crack them windows or you step out of that car door and you get a whiff of that manure around and you just know you are in God's country. You are in the authenticity of what American soil is about, and that is cow manure. That is my tier 1, and that concludes my tier talk. My tier 3 was going to be gasoline, but you snapped that up. And then when you said football, I know the fresh cut grass, which is true, but I want something a little different, a little spicy. All right, what else do we have? We have a Chris Distefano, the interview, insane. I've been seeing people, they've been craving the Chris Distefano interview. He threw me for a loop, a little bit by surprise. I was caught off guard. He was right after Tom Segura. It's kind of like Shane. You didn't really know a whole lot. I know the clips. I saw Chris Distefano. He seemed like a very high vibe, high energy cat. But the dude goes every different direction. That gets you a little, oh shit. Yeah, well, okay, we'll talk about that. But hey, sit back and enjoy this one. This one's a great time. But without further ado, here's comedian Chris Distefano. All right, we interrupt this episode to talk about our experience using cars.com. Wherever life takes you next and whoever you're looking to be, there's a car for that on cars.com, whether you're moving from the suburbs to the city, so you want that smaller, sportier car, or you've taken up snowboarding and need more of that cargo space for that gear, they have deal badges that identify the best deals at the right time. Their advanced search filters help you narrow down the car you're looking for, the car of your dreams, the car that just needs to get from point A to point B and everywhere in between. And they have quick and easy ways to sell or trade your car in. Over 2 million cars for 2 million possibilities to meet your changing needs. There's up to 50,000 cars that are added daily to cars.com. So know you'll find the car that you will love. Find your next possibility on cars.com. Where to next? I know when I would sit, especially when I was looking for that next car, when I was looking for that Chevy, when I would car search back in the day, whether it was through my parents, like, hey, mom, dad, you got to buy me this new fucking sports car. No, you're getting this little beater. I would always use cars.com. So shout out the boys at cars.com. I am proud and happy that you are sponsoring Bussin' with the Boys. Back to the episode.
We are rolling. We were just talking about diapers, though.
Yes.
Hey, my wife wants to do a third, and like the number one thing keeping me away is having to go through it again.
Yeah, it's
The
the
diapers and all
people.
that.
You forget about the diapers. That's the hardest part of everything is the diapers and the carrying her. You know, I can't, it's like when you pack it up, it's like I'm packing up for like a mission, like a
Right.
Navy SEAL mission.
And you're just going to the park.
Yeah, every time I pack my kids up to go to the supermarket, I'm like, we're gonna kill Bin Laden again. That's what it is. If I see him, I'm gonna kill him.
Yes,
And you're ready, fucking
you got
ready
my
to go.
6. We're going in.
Yeah. And so, but it is the most beautiful thing to have kids, especially girls. And by the way, everybody I know is having girls. There's not one person. If it's almost like if you have a boy, I'm like, yeah, but it's not. It's a girl. You know what I mean? It's like it just has a big clit.
Well, it's their choice. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Well, yes. Well, let's start having gender reveals on the 18th birthday, 100%. But I just think there's actually something in the water, or like maybe it's the vaccines. I don't know what's going on.
A combination of the two.
Something is causing for sure more females than males. I think it's like a fact. I think it really, except in China. China's the only place that's having more boys.
Yeah, and that's a tough deal. It seems like China's having a hard time right now.
Yeah. Russia's having a hard time too.
Russia's having the hardest time.
Could you imagine how stupid you must feel if you're Russia? Like, for the longest time, we all were like, dude, Russia will kill us. Like, you do not want to fight Russia. And now we're like,
Well,
dude, I'll fight Russia by myself. Like, I feel like I can beat them by myself.
I feel like
not
Americans-
Russians,
yeah.
Russians.
Americans have been afraid of Russia since the 80s or whenever the Cold War was.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Rocky.
up until Rocky 4 came out was what I
when
was gonna
Rocky
say.
4 came out, we're like, we could handle the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can beat these motherfuckers up.
No
dude.
question, dude. That
Yeah.
is a fucking but it is a weird deal because 3 months ago we're sitting there going, "Hey, Russia, China, they think they're
Sure.
getting together. Saudi Arabia's jumping in the pool for some reason."
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden a coup rips off, and we're like, "I think we're
Yeah, I
think we're
kind of
good
feel
now."
like American pride and nationalism's coming back, where it's like, because you used to feel like, not necessarily me, but you would feel, I've just always been a prideful American, even like when my comedy friends were always like, the police suck. I'm like, I'll shoot you. Get off my property. So, you know, it's just like, I was always the guy that was like, stop fucking listening to everything the news says, please. And just be a regular human being and understand that police, cops, firemen, the army, everyone's just doing the best they can besides a couple of bad eggs that we fucking have even in our business. It's just always, that's what it is.
At every household too. Like everybody's got
Everybody,
their
it's like,
fucking
just shut
problems.
up with the media, fear porn, cherry picking bullshit. But I think more people are starting to see it now, right? But I always was like, American pride, whatever. But then I noticed, like, for a while there, no American flags. You never saw American flags that much. You saw it I grew up, 9/11. I was a senior in high school in New York. You better have an American flag up and down the streets. Or we were like, what are you, with them? What are you, a terrorist? And then it flipped for a while, where it's like, if you had an American flag, people would be like, what are you, a terrorist? What are you, white supremacist? And it's like, no, I live in America. Because there was for a while, I got to be honest, like when I was walking down New York City in the West Village, this was like a month or two ago, I saw, and it's not there as much anymore, I walked down the block and all I saw was Ukrainian flags and rainbow flags. And I was like, am I in the gay part of Kiev? I mean, I thought I was in the United States. What's happening? And I like the Ukrainians. I like gay people. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not gay. You know what I mean? I don't think I am.
Everyone's on the spectrum.
Exactly.
Everyone's on the
It's like
meter.
I support it because like that's what the rainbow is. It's like a spectrum of colors. I'm a human being. Like I might go the first 50 straight, the last 50 gay. That's possible. I love, but I do feel like now, like I'm talking about very recent, like over the last 6 to 8 weeks, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Bud Light controversy. Maybe but American pride, I feel I see like the first glimmer of it again in a while.
And you can't put your finger on it.
I can't put my finger on, like this 4th of July was just good. Like,
Fireworks are brighter.
Yeah, dude, I have neighbors who had a British guy come over. I lit him on fire right in my yard. And everybody, they loved it, dude. It was fucking great, dude. And nobody cared, which is like, at other times they would have been like, you can't do that, respect his rights, but I fucking lit him on fire. And I was, suck it, Nigel.
Yeah.
You motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
It is wild, dude. I was in Florida during 4th of July, and it seemed like I don't know. Florida's its own unique place. I don't know if they have lost a patriotism there, but I did feel a certain sense of like, hey, because I'm not big in jumping into politics, but I am big on wherever you're from. Have pride in where you're from, regardless. Like just grab a little something from where you're from, take it with you wherever you go. And I feel like with America, it's like, yeah, we've dated people. You've dated people you loved, and you got your heart broken. But there's things even when you're in love, you're like, this bugs the shit out of me about this person. Right. Same thing with America. If you can be from America and not like all of the things about America.
Sure.
I don't like all the things about America, but I'm fucking happy to be an American.
Yeah, it's like the ones who like just shit on the country all day, every day. It's like it's a broken record. Just shut up. Where are you going to go live? Where do you want to go live? Where do you want to live in Canada? Everything's on fire. Do you want to live? Like it's like I've heard some of my in comedy a lot of gay people. A lot of gay people talk. I heard somebody say this is the worst time to be gay in the world is right now in this country. I was like, do you know if you went to the Middle East, they'd throw you off a roof. They would throw you off a roof and people would be clapping and celebrating. It's like, what are you talking about? People are just so indoctrinated and sucked into the media. But I think that it really is like a lot of people don't, they don't really, they're not as fooled anymore. Even somebody like my mom who was like just, what anything the newscaster says, she takes as truth. She's starting to question now, which I think is good, right? I mean, I think that's better. I mean, none of this is comedy, but I'm changing my profession. I'm running along with RFK Jr. And I'm gonna be I'm shooting. We're gonna be sucking the vaccines out of people.
And
what
hitting
we're gonna be
fucking
doing.
just repping in the sunlight.
Yeah, repping. Yeah, I'm gonna have a magnet and start sucking vaccines.
You got a lot
out.
of stuff going on. Very political right now.
Yeah.
Ditching comedy. You have Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses on.
By the way, this is the first 5 minutes of the podcast. You'll see by maybe the next 20 minutes, I'll be everything I just said, I'll be the opposite. I'll play different characters for an hour. I'll just say I'll start kneeling. Put the national anthem on, I'll kneel. You can't, that's my whole thing is you can't track me down. You can't, I'm fucking Chrissy Gray Zones.
Chrissy Gray Zones.
Yeah, I'm all over the
Chrissy Gray
place.
Zones is also a very educated individual. Like you love yourself some history from what I've been following.
Yes. Oh yeah. Love
distance.
history. I love trying now to sell. I'll take like a different era. Like somebody came up to me the other day and they were like, "Oh, I've been listening to your podcast. You're talking so much about finance." I was like, "Yeah, that was 3 weeks ago. I've moved on to 10 other subjects that I've been obsessed with 10 other subjects since then. I'm the guy, I read half of a book and I'm like, I'm an expert. Let me tell you about it."
Yeah.
And then all the people are like, "You fucking idiot. All you're doing is making mistakes." But I think it's that my grandfather gave me like good advice, right? He right before he killed himself in front of our family. But he said, but he did give me great advice. And he said, if you're the smartest person in the room, it's time for you to find a new room. You always want to be dumb around the people you're hanging out with. You never want to be because then you're not learning anything. So I always try to be the dumbest person in the room. But now I'm in.
By being the smartest.
Right.
Read half the book. I'm the smartest. Let it fly.
Or listening.
Hey, dude, you're
Right.
fucking way off. Okay,
You
well, I'm
probably
in the
change
right
rooms
room.
faster than you should, is what you're saying.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I'm in and out. I'm always fucking listening, baby. I'm always listening to what this guy says. Yeah,
That's what JP
I heard
says.
your southern accent.
Yeah.
South Carolina boy, Gamecock.
I love it, baby. Love the cock.
There we
And
go.
the game.
That was nice. You do dance around. You said that you might go 50 straight, 50 gay.
Yes.
That's a nice little. I feel like a nice Daniel Tosh pull. I feel like he was one of the first comedians. Kind of. Is he? Is he not? What's he going through?
I
Tosh?
always enjoyed watching him toe the line.
Dude, I
or
love
like you push
watching
the
toe
envelope.
lines. Yeah, it's always fun to toe the line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Whatever happened to Tosh?
I think he just did so well, made so much money that I think he's just like maybe writing new stuff. I think he's taking a break from everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not on. I never see him anywhere, but he might live in LA. I think he's from Germany, right? He might like live in Germany. He might be, dude, the Germans are coming back.
But I feel like he doesn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I think he's truly made like $100 million. Like he is not even quietly, like he has done so well in the comedy business that I don't know that he has to. I mean, I don't know his finances at all. He could be horrific with his money. I have no idea. But he seems like he's made so much money that I think it gets to a point where you're like, all right, man, I got to take like a couple of years mental break or something. Because you also need to find new material. You need to live new experiences. Because the thing I think with comedy is if you get too big, like music is different. Go get as big as you want. But with stand-ups, if you get too big and you lose sense, you lose touch with the common man. Your comedy, you can't do like a crushing hour about your yacht. You can't do it. Like the people in the front row, what the fuck are you talking? Like you're supposed to be the common man like us. You're supposed to be mad at shit and kind of have an opinion about stuff. So I think maybe he's doing that, like just kind of taking a step back to just ground himself. I mean, not that he was
Getting
ever,
back in the trenches.
might be. I think he might be. Again, he's not. He lives in L.A., I think. So I'm always in New York. I'm one of those like New York guys. Like I don't. You could be like, hey, dude, if you just moved to L.A. or Austin, you'd make $10 million more a year. I'd be like, I'd rather drive a bus in New York. Really? I don't want to leave New York at all. Because I think I don't have anything against LA or Austin. I'm happy they're beautiful American cities and not taken over by ISIS. But I think that I'm just a very New York guy. I like to be around like my family, my friends from home. I like New York is always like there's like new things happening always, and every time I leave New York, I don't feel comfortable. I'm always like I'd rather just I like quick hits. I like to go somewhere for 2-3 days and then go and then leave and come back to New York. Get back. I'm comfortable here. I'm comfy here. I'm a little uncomfortable outside of it. But yeah, I don't know, and I also kind of don't feel like my whole being a comedian's like the fourth thing about me. You know, it's like my comedy career is like I'm not one of those guys that are like, and I get my peers that do. They're like, I'll do everything for comedy. I want to be the greatest of all time. I'm like, dude, knock yourself out. That's the last thing I'd want to be.
Really?
The goat of
God,
comedy?
are you kidding me? You know how much pressure that is? Also, nobody fucking cares. Do you think imagine Alexander the Great came in here right now? You'd be like, look at this asshole in a toga. Look at this dumb fuck. Nobody knows who this retard is. And he was Alexander the Great because truly nobody cares. Nothing really matters. And that's not pessimistic. That's coming from I'm a happy person where I'm like, just take relax. Like what is the greatest of all time at least in comedy mean? You know what that means? In my opinion, I'm never going to see my kids. I'm never going to see them. All I'm gonna do is look at them through memories. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I'd rather be just the piece of shit comic that I am that's doing okay, but I'm like at my kids' stuff. You know what I mean? And then when they find out their father's gay and they don't want to talk to me, I'll go on a world tour then.
I'll go on a world tour then. Yeah. When you say it's the fourth thing about you, what are the other three? What are the three things that are just the most interesting to you outside of family?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a white man. Don't forget that. No.
Very important to you.
No, straight white male. Well, no, I think
America.
Love America. I think number one, definitely father. You know, like that's the main thing about me that I care about the most. Like I don't really care like what people think of my comedy or what people what some executive thinks of my. I don't care at all. I just care about like what my kids think of me. And then I think two, being a partner to my girlfriend is huge because we have the kids. So I think like that is very, very important to me. And then third, son. My very close to my parents. So like got to be like a good son, even though I go on stage talking about cum leaking out of my asshole. It's but
you're all over the spectrum.
Yeah. Then the fourth thing is listen. I love doing comedy. It gives me an outlet. It's great. It's like cathartic for me to like. I feel bad for people that don't have an outlet. Like you'll see something on the news that really angers you or social media that like angers you and like you have nowhere to, like you can't get it out, where I can get it out with comedy and say how I feel in a joke format, and it makes me feel better. But I think, doing this for the money, comedy for the money, is like, that's when I think we all start to, and by the way, I went through a phase last year where I was like, I'm definitely doing shows and meet and greets and stuff for the money, and I couldn't figure out why I absolutely hated myself, even though I was selling tickets, making more money than I ever made. I was like, but I would look in the mirror and be like, you fucking suck. And I couldn't figure it out. And it was like, oh, because you were starting to do things for the money, not for the creativity. So now it's changed. Even though I know I'm wearing these glasses and you're like, what are you talking about? Like you look like an asshole right now.
I actually like the glasses quite
Thank
a
you.
bit.
I appreciate it. It makes me, I do it. They're very Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. And I just, it's good. I want to eat black men.
Is that an inspiration for you, Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Who's that whole thing?
Yeah. No, I actually saw what happened was here's the thing with me. Okay, here's what you have to know about me.
Boys, we interrupt this episode. Duke Cannon. The Duke Cannon Scent Trophy Game was created by the boys for the boys. Support from Bussin' with the Boys team, and it's available now in thick body wash and the big ass brick of soap. The idea was hatched at the Bussin' Bowl with the Duke Cannon team. We wanted to bring a scent to life that celebrates college football, the greatest rivalries that autumn morning that we just spoke of. The trophy game has notes of smoked leather and amber and smells like a collegiate football fall. Not your randomly assigned freshman roommate. Thick, high viscosity body wash. Thick is formulated with a noticeably higher viscosity and built to work effectively on your body and not spew down the shower drain. The big ass brick of soap is 3 times bigger than the common bars of soap, triple milled for superior quality, and it's made with natural oils. This is the scent. This is the oil that you want on your body. Whether you're out and about, whether you're under them shoulder pads trying to get a little musty, this is the soap for you. Find the new Duke Cannon scent at dukecannon.com/trophy game. Brought to you by the boys. Bussin' with the fucking boys. Back to the episode.
And
Can't wait.
And my career, whatever, like Midas, like anything he touches is gold. Anything I touch, just know that if you put me on your network, and I feel bad for you guys with this podcast, when you get me on, things start to go bad for you. I don't know why this happens, but it just starts to implode.
Oh no!
So I did in hours. It was 45 minutes that we put out for Netflix. Okay, put out for Netflix. Great, loving it. Show comes out immediately within 24 hours of my show coming out. Netflix announces they've had the worst quarter in the history of their business, and the stocks have fallen so much that they may have to shut down their business. Great. Then I do a show for Vice called Super Maximum Retro Show. Okay, it came out. The show comes out. It's actually doing pretty good. I'm like, the curse is over. Vice has now completely shut down as a network. It does not exist anymore. This happened in a month ago. Vice completely, my show came out, and then Vice crumbled, absolutely crumbled to the ground. I had a pilot. I had a pilot show for CBS in 2016. I thought it was going to make me like the next Ray Romano. That's what I was being touted as. And everybody was I'm talking about being from Queens and my new version of it, whatever. Literally, the day that the people who pick the shows, the actual people who are in the room who pick the 5 pilots that are going to go to series that America's going to see on the day, May 14th, 2016. I'm talking about not the day before, the actual day. They're supposed to pick at 11 a.m. The day the guy, our champion, is going to pick, dies of a heart attack. Right away, dead, heart attack, see you later, done, show never gets picked up. So the thing is, with me, is I've just accepted that there might be a level here that I'm never going to get past. But right now, if you allowed me to push a button and say, you will never get another dollar, your life won't change. You'll never get $1 less. You'll never get $1 more. You'll never travel less. You'll never travel more. Your life will be this for the next 30 years. I would push it immediately. So that tells me, well, then you must be happy then with your situation. Because it wouldn't even be a thought. It'd be done in, yes. Because it's also to the point, when you get so famous, it's what's different about that? It's just more fucking people, wanting to bring you down. Every ladder you go up in this business, it's 10 more people are trying to pull you back down. It's after a while, you're what is the point? What is the point of this? I just want to make enough money to invest it properly. I want to try to convince enough people to invest their money with me so I can swindle it. And then I just want to be a good dad and be there as much as I can and try for dear life to just white knuckle hold on to the current relationship I'm in. Even though that's slowly falling apart.
When you're sitting there when you're sitting there a year ago and you're doing meet and greets and all this stuff for cash and all that, and you're you hate yourself, you can look in the mirror and be okay, this is why this is happening. What changes did you make for you to be sitting here today? All this energy in the world, but a happy person.
Yeah.
You want to do it? I'll do it. Brother. And so what happened is I couldn't articulate why I felt gross about the meet and greet. Because I knew that the people who paid were actually happy. They were I don't mind paying this money. But I couldn't articulate why. Why do I feel so bad about it? And I think it was 2 reasons. One, I felt that I would do this for free for them. I genuinely so appreciative of the people that come to the show. It's I will stand out there and do it for free. I honestly, you don't have to pay. And then I heard my favorite band is the 1975, and the lead singer Matty Healy. I heard him say on social media about meet and greets. He was like, if you're an artist doing meet and greets, he goes, here's what I want you to do. He goes, rather than going through Ticketmaster or your agent to get the ticket, money from the fans, take the picture with them, talk to them for 30 seconds, and then ask them to give you $40 in cash and see how you feel. And I was like, ay, Dios mío. I was like, that's what I'm doing. And again, it's not a thing. If people are doing it and the fans who want to do it, great. Just me as a person, I was like, I can't do this. I feel like I'm giving you what you're paying for is the show, my jokes that I've written, like my performance. But after that, I don't want to take any more of your money. Even buying the merchandise, it's like, sometimes I feel, it's like, you almost like, it's like, how much money do you fucking need, man? Like, like you get to a point where you're like, I'm on this hamster wheel where it's like, I mean, again, going on a world tour is great. It really is. But it's like, it's just, for me, time away from my family, because time and money are the same value. Actually, time is more valuable to me now, where I'm like, if you told me, hey, I could get this amount of money, but it's going to cost 6 months away from my family, I'm like, there's no way I'll just make less money. I swear to God, I'll go back to being a physical therapist. I just don't. The entertainment business, I think, has just, there's a nastiness to it that I'm like, I'm happy I'm in it. I love doing what I do, but there's a limit to like what I'll do. And I'm not saying that limit isn't sucking cock to get on TV.
Right.
I will blow past
That's always out there.
To be honest with you, that's why I wear these glasses, in case you guys wanted to bukkake or something like that. I'd be like, I'm protected. At least I won't get pink eye because my kid has a big summer presentation I have to be at.
Before you ask that question, the 1975 the song Girls.
I love Girls.
That YouTube music video. Have you seen the music video?
I don't think I've seen the music video.
It's black and white, and the lead singer's like, hey, we're a punk band. We don't do pop stuff. They should be in black and white. And it's automatically in color. And it's basically a parody on, like, they're trying to be a punk band, but they're playing a whole bunch of different stuff. But
oh, yes, I have seen that video.
That go in it. And the lead singer, it's a model. She's like 6'1". As soon as that music video came out, I was like, I have a massive crush on her. That's the pivot. Go ahead, we'll ask your question.
Mwah! If you're good, dude, if you're gonna do it the right way.
I was gonna. You weren't looking at me.
Give me.
I didn't know.
Do it the right way.
Kiss him, dude.
Fights, do it the right way.
Kiss on the fucking lips, dude.
Mwah!
Exact fucking guy.
I'm leaving, but I wanted to come give you a kiss.
Dude,
You guys are done already?
What's that?
You guys are done already?
He's gonna split, so I gotta split.
Oh, we body bagged you guys on accident. I'm so sorry.
Teeth are great.
Thanks,
I
guys.
like it.
I love you fights.
Nice, bro.
Hey, Vice, close the door, though. Close the door, though.
Yeah, you need chapstick.
Do you want really?
It's a little chappy,
a
but I
little
could deal with
chappy.
it. Fucking
We
guy.
had Segura on right before you came, and we went like, what,
Oh,
30
today
minutes
Segura's
over?
here?
Yeah,
Oh,
Segura's
I
here.
love it.
Just walked in and out, man.
Tommy's. Oh
I
yeah.
think he's still here.
He might be still here, but like,
Yeah.
So Segura is the perfect example of a guy to model a career after, in my opinion. Tom, I know he just went on the tour and all that, but he did it. I think he brought his family to a lot of it. Tom is a guy who's doing everything exactly what he wants to do. Yeah. He's making incredible money. He's there for his family. He's there for his fans. He's doing everything his way. That's the guy that I look up to and model.
What about the guy you cried with on the podcast, Bert?
Bert's another one. But I've actually heard Bert recently say that he feels he's doing too much now. So he's actually, is understandable. He's like, I think I'm doing too much. So he's got good intuition where he's like, let me scale it back. But Bert.
By the way, what a clip! Like what a moment.
Oh
when
yeah.
You guys were fucking
It's all
talking
fake.
about that.
Yeah,
It's all fake. That's just your acting
all
ability.
fabricated, dude.
Yeah,
We spoke about that. Yeah, we.
that was that 2016 pilot coming out in you, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
Getting ready to roll.
Dude, I put that 2016 CBS. That's the thing too with people like, I think if you just at times, I mean, I'm scared of a lot of shit, but I think at times if you're just like, fuck it, I'll ask for forgiveness later. I'd rather what do they say? I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
They tell you to a million times, your lawyer will tell you if your pilot doesn't get picked up, you cannot ever post this anywhere. You cannot ever post your special anywhere other than on the platform, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, during the pandemic, I was like, I'm just going to post my entire CBS pilot on my YouTube. I'm just going to do it. I don't then sue me. I was like, if you sue me, I'll just talk about that on my podcast and make that a clip. I'll just fucking monetize everything. I'm a beast. and so that's what I think our careers now have become with this podcasting is like, whatever you do to me, whether you cancel me or say this, I'll just make it content. So it's like this thing that it's like, it's kind of like, it's always like, look at Shane Gillis. Like he's got one of the biggest careers now ever. And it's like, it all started with people trying to take everything away from it. It's like, you're like pulling back a rubber band to shoot it even higher.
Yeah.
But I think people are getting that now. Don't you feel like people are understanding that now?
I feel like in a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also is like you guys like comedy is the one thing that's like truly still everything's on limits. And I know people like the letters
mean
and stuff
by
like
limits?
that. Everything is like you're allowed to go at everybody still, even though like I know a lot of people, the LGBT community, whatever the letters, they get upset about stuff that comedies do. Like they try to cancel Chappelle when he came out with his special, and the whole thing was about that. But it's like comedy is like the one beautiful spot that no matter what you do, it's going to pivot back into comedy, and they're going to be able to use whatever you say to get back
Right.
into that area, which I
Right.
believe
And
is what you're
ultimately,
saying.
yeah, it's like I think a lot of the power is going back through like the content creator, like the creator, right?
Right.
Because people are figuring out that they can be authentic, and
Right.
there's still ways to pivot along like
Yeah.
you being authentic, because you're not like just on a TV show, and the minute you get fired or canceled or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, there are other ways to still recreate yourself or still create yourself.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's-
mainstream is going
Yeah.
going out the window right now.
Out the window. Yeah, well, I think too, it's important to, that's why it's important to have a family, whether it's kids or a husband, wife, partner, whatever. I think it's important to be able to get outside your career in whatever it is, whether it's in entertainment or not, because you start to just realize like the petty bullshit, like, especially like with social media. It's like, I haven't been on social media in, I think it's going on 10 months now. And it's like, radically changed my life. Like I still need someone to run it, to sell tickets and be out there. It's just part of how we promote ourselves, but I don't see the comments at all, because I made a decision. I said, I'm not going to let a complete stranger influence me positively or negatively anymore. I'm not going to take them saying that they think my comedy is great. It's not going to get to me, or that they think I suck. It's not going to, only if I'm in the physical space with you or you're at my shows do then I value your opinion. If I don't know you at all, because I was like, man, I'm letting somebody who lives in London, control my day. It's like our brains are not designed for that. So I was like, I'm getting off it. And it's interesting. My Instagram, when this happened 10 months ago, I just could not sign in. Right password, even when I got the reset, it was just some kind of bug was in it. So we got in touch with like a pretty high up person at Instagram to help me out. And then I was speaking to him, and I was telling him what my plan was to get somebody else to run it. So I had that person on the phone, just give this guy the password, whatever. And he said to me, he goes, "This is really smart what you're doing. You're really, really smart that you're getting off this." And I was like, "Really? Why?" He was like, "Because," he's like, "we're doing internal research right now." That company Meta. He's like, "We're doing internal research right now, and we're seeing that if you have more than 25,000 followers, that seems to be the cutoff. These people, the people the people with more than 25,000 followers, it has major impacts on their social identity, major impacts on their personalities. It is not good at all for human brains to be dealing with this many people commenting on every aspect of their life. We're like seeing it, and it's like it's going to probably be things that radically change in the next few years. So it's good that you're getting out of this now." He was like, "Because it's not good, and we're seeing that in house." I was like, "Wow." And I tell you what, I feel it. Like I used to get angry, like at even like if I would come into a podcast and somebody I felt like was like disrespecting me or making fun of me, I would internalize it, and now I'm like, "Oh, dude, I don't care. I've gotten so much less angry, because I'm just like, man, people are going to say what they're going to say. I don't really hear it that much. I only hear it from my family and close friends, good reviews and bad reviews. So if you give me even a bad review, it's just like it doesn't make that. I don't hear that all day. But when you're hearing bad reviews or good reviews all day, you're like in this manic state 24/7, and I'm just not in anymore. And I think it's good to not have everybody has access to you. That's like not good. It's just not good at all, because you're like, I keep my circle small, tight.
I think that's perfect. That's why I downloaded Threads yesterday.
Yeah.
I downloaded Threads from Instagram.
What's Threads?
Threads is now the Twitter of Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. Dear Heavenly Father, we interrupt this episode to bring you Straight Talk. Are you paying too much for your wireless plan? If so, Straight Talk just introduced a new Straight Talk multi-line plan where more lines mean more savings for just $25 a month per month when you get 4 lines with unlimited data, talk, and text on all nationwide 5G. Plus, no contracts, no hidden fees, no bullshit, no compromises. That's just Straight Talk talking, boys. From Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart and Walmart.com. We love Walmart.com over here. We love Walmart over here. Been a very faithful shopper since 1989. Learn more at straighttalk.com/multiline $UTM_medium equals BAC and UTM_campaign equals AW and UTM_content equals EVRGRN and UTM_term equals GNRC minus %sign 25 EPID !% ECID !
Do you have cauliflower ear? You're like an in-betweener.
Yeah, I got a little tweener cauliflower ear.
But
right
it's
here.
not so pronounced yet. So it's almost like, why don't you have, if you're going to go cauliflower ear, just go full.
Well, fortunately, like the cauliflower ear happened like when I was really young. So
What
it wasn't
happened?
wrestling.
Ah.
You know what I mean? Like rolling around on the mats and some
Professionally,
leotards.
not like with your dad or anything.
As a kid, yeah, I guess so. Like get out in the singlets in the circle, shake hands,
Right.
red and green,
Yeah.
wrestle a little bit. No
You're like
headgear.
you look like an almost Channing Tatum type thing, right?
I will fucking
Right?
take that.
Very
Yeah,
close.
Yeah, I'm all in.
very,
on
very
that, brother.
close.
I'm all in on that.
Yes.
Hey.
That's a nice little deal
Yes,
right
dude.
there.
You
Thank
look
you,
like
man.
I like it, man.
I appreciate that.
But it's good. But yeah, dude, because you have an ear that I wouldn't fuck with. You know, I would look at your ear and say this, even though it's almost cauliflower ear, you don't want to fuck with this guy.
Like that's enough of a resume.
That's enough to say I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
It's good to know I have that kind of respect.
You should
though.
have had your ear coming out of your helmet when you were playing.
That'd have been a nice little deal. Will, he comes from Missouri. In Missouri, what they do is they wrestle. His brother,
Show me state.
the Show Me State, brother.
Yeah, and I've wrestled Will. I, at one point, outweighed Will by over 100 pounds. And I wrestled Will on 3 separate occasions, and all 3 times he body bagged the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah, no, you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell he's a nice guy, but you could tell there's a darkness. There's something missing.
Yeah.
You could tell 100%. I don't know what it is. I don't know if we'll.
He's got more than 25,000 followers.
Right.
There's
right.
no
So
question.
there's-
It's one of those.
You're saying
things-
that I'm going down the wrong path.
Like I kind of almost think like what's going to unfortunately probably happen to both of you is you're going to see the real him in the last 5 seconds of your life. And then
Oh,
it's,
no.
It's a little going to be what we call a murder suey wooey right here on the pod.
Suey wooey.
Yeah, and unfortunately you're going to have to deal with it, but it'll be great for the numbers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
but the numbers won't matter because I'll be dead.
Yeah, but no, but
How do you monetize when you die?
I'll put your numbers on your gravestone.
There it is.
I'll put the
That's
There
all
it
I
is.
need to hear.
Give it to the family, and you just give the money back to Dave Portnoy. Okay, that's what it is. He deserves it.
He
and
does deserve
and
it.
He's earned it.
He's put a lot of work in.
Yeah.
Put a fucking lot of work in, dude.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask earlier is how do you plan ahead now to account for like that balance you want to have in your life?
So what I do now actually is I've taken my kind of not an obsession, but I've really tried to self-educate myself on finance. I've really tried to say, Tiki Barber, NFL guy, I got to do a show with him a few years ago called The Ultimate Beastmaster that I got fired for because I said it was like this international competition and like Tiki and I were the hosts of Team USA, but then like everybody had teams like Team Britain, Team India, Team China. And when you fell off the obstacle course on the Ultimate Beastmaster into the water, you got like eliminated and they called it the Beast Blood, right? It's just whatever. And so we were doing the show like, you know, forever, like a week. And then the producer in my ear was like, hey, Chris, like when this next competitor goes up, like just give us like an alt name for Beast Blood. I was like, all right. So it was a Chinese competitor. And he went up, and I was like, I don't have anything. And then as soon as he fell, his name was Bin Feng. As soon as he fell, I was like, as he was falling, I was like, oh shit, I got it. And I said, I swear to God, I had like a moment where I was like, if I say this, I'm probably going to lose my job, but like, I have to say this. And he hits it, and then they're like waiting, and I went, there goes Bin Feng into the duck sauce. And Tiki dude was fucking dying laughing. I get called to the booth, fired.
Oh, during the show?
See ya. Yeah,
God.
and then it was like the last day anyway. And I mean, dude, Tiki and I still like. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago. Like every time he sees me, he's like, I still cannot believe you did that. But he was like, it was one of the best moments in my life to just call my wife and be like, you never can believe what this kid Chris just did. And so, but anyway, so we became like close friends, and he talked to me about investing. He talked to me about how he has a company for NFL players, especially the rookies and stuff coming in that don't know anything really about finance, but they're getting this money. They invest money with him because they trust him, and he's educated himself so much on finance that you invest with him through his firm, and he helps you. This way you're not going to get your money stolen by your family or bad investments, whatever. He like guides you. So that kind of got me to start thinking like, man, I got to know what's going on with my money. I can't just give it to somebody and give them 1%, because you think of financial wealth advisors like, oh, they're only taking 1%. It's not that much money. It's like over the course of 20 to 30 years, like they're taking hundreds of thousands of dollars that you could have invested yourself. And then with compound interest, that could turn out to be millions and millions of dollars that you just gave away. So that's the thing that I try to plan ahead now, is kind of managing my own money. And every dollar I make on the road or through podcasting is like, you know, what dollar has to go to the cost of running my household and my family and making sure they are well taken care of, and then investing for the future. So I don't want to be that guy that's, you know, 55 years old, like I have to go, you know, to go do some comedy club in the middle of the country. If it's there, if I wanted to, but I don't want to be the guy that has to do that. But I'm aware that if I'm going to be the guy who's going to get to that mega money through comedy, that's going to take a lot of time away from my family. So I'm trying to find the balance of make money here at home or being on the road as little as possible, and then taking that money and making it work for me in other ways. So yeah. So if you guys want to invest your money with me,
I don't know. You started saying that Tiki Barber thing. I started getting nervous.
dude.
Give me your money and I'll invest it because I'm educated. That kind of scares me.
Well, no, it's not.
And I
Yeah,
think
but
Tiki's great.
that's coming from Chris. Like, you know, he's kind
Yeah.
of he's just kind of napkin saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
Once he brought up rookies and programs, like I'm sure he's got.
Oh yeah, no.
That's why
I
you
think
have
it's all.
embedded
I think
by
it's
the
all
NFL
through the
and stuff
NFL.
like that.
I think it's all through the NFL, and I might be even kind of missing parts about it. It might not just be like he was just the first. I remember he was the first guy. We were walking because he's a great guy, and we were walking, and he saw like this open plot of land in like I think we were in like Valencia, California, and he like called somebody, and he like gave him like the coordinates, like latitude, longitude coordinates of this place. I was like, what the fuck? Are you like gonna drop a nuke? And he goes, no, dude, this land can be a parking lot. This is just unserved land. I want to buy this land and put a parking lot there. I was like, whoa, you think that like that? He was like, absolutely. He was like, he told me, he was like, the thing is like most people. And again, I haven't put this into practice yet. You know, I'm living in a 1-bedroom, but
You've read half the book.
yeah.
Yeah.
But most people, he's like, it's easy to not. The money is there for the taking. It's just you don't know. Like he was like, you see a plot of land, you think, oh, it's just land. He goes, but I see how can this land make me money? So it's smart, and he's made for sure more money now than he did during his playing career.
bet.
Yeah, and he's a great guy.
When you talk about the social media and getting off social media, and then
Yeah.
everything you're doing is in the public eye,
Yeah.
do you ever struggle with that at all? Is like, is this the right avenue for me?
No,
with the
because-
podcasting and everything and the comedy.
Here's the thing: is sorry.
That's all right. You're safe.
No, okay. Whoa, oh my God! Now I have cauliflower dick, and he. So it's interesting because I feel like with podcasting, right, is in a way when we first started doing it, right, everybody was doing it kind of on the heels of everybody saw how successful Joe Rogan got at it, and kind of it was just the only way for a lot of us to kind of have any way to get our message out because we weren't getting on the TV shows, we weren't really getting in the movies, and so a lot of, you know, the comics, you know, obviously the ones that exploded, the Theo Vons and the Joey Coco Diaz's and all those guys, you know, it was kind of like we were watching them in New York, like, this is the path. Like this, they're going to let us talk, uncensored to our fans. We're going to get a fan base, a niche fan base, and that's how we'll get tickets. And that happened for a lot of us, and it's still continuing to happen, which is good. But it feels like it's shifting now because now the big comics that are exploding, like, you know, a Matt Rife or a Jessica Kirsten. They don't have podcasts. They have just clips on the internet. It went from long form content to short form content. That's what the consumer wants now. So I have been questioning as time's been going on, like, should I make my podcast a little shorter? Should I be talking all the time about everything always, because it's like, if you look, I like the Stoics. I like stoicism, and like guys like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. I like them because it's like, it's not that I don't like the modern day thinkers, like the great guys like the Gary V's and Tony Robbins. They're amazing, but it's that the Stoics wisdom has been around for 2,000 plus years. So it's like battle tested wisdom. That's why I always go to like what's been around longer. And so they are always saying, like, you know, like this guy Kano, who he was like the stoic. He was like the Dave Attell, the comic, where everybody like loved this guy. He was like, you know, you have one mouth, two ears. You know, just, you know, you have two ears to listen, one mouth to talk. So talk less, listen more, just talk less. And he said, you know, always be aware if you're subjected to the third thing. And the third thing like the first thing is you do something. The second thing is it helps someone. And then the third thing is needing to get admiration for it. That's where the ego comes in. That's what's going to lead you down a bad path. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, all I'm doing is talking and wanting admiration for it. It's like I am falling into the third thing and just talking too much. And I don't know that it's like that on point, but lately I've been like, what am I do? I think because with podcasting, a lot of times we're talking and we're having these half thought out thoughts and we're just spraying them out. And that's what gets people in trouble later on. Because you're like, stand up is different. It's like whatever I say on stage, I've thought about that. I've tried to perfect that as much as I could. And it is edited and in my brain at least. And I'm like, I have thought this out. Where a podcast, it's like people will send me clips sometimes of what I said on a podcast 4 years ago. And I'm like, I don't ever remember saying Hitler had some good ideas. I don't remember that at all. But it's clear evidence that I said it because I'm literally in a Nazi uniform screaming at hailing. So and I don't, but I don't remember it at all. And so there's things that I get weary of with podcasting, and I think we all know it's very oversaturated now. But that's okay. I mean, everything gets oversaturated. And I think, you know, sometimes people will be like, if they come up to different comics and they're like, oh, I saw you on TikTok. Like some of my peers will get upset at that. And I used to get upset at that, but it's like, that's just the new medium people are finding. Like I heard like Jackie Gleason used to get mad if you recognized him from his TV show because he got big on the radio. And it used to be the radio is everything. And if you're on TV, you're a hack. And then it went from, well, TV's going away and you need a podcast. And if you're on TV, you're a hack. It's about the podcast. And now it's starting to become, well, everybody's on TikTok. And it's like, what are you, just another guy with a podcast? So it's constantly evolving, I'm realizing. So it's like always about trying to get to that next thing, which I genuinely have no idea how to get to or what that is.
That's the fear. That's the fear when you're trying to stay in front of everybody's eyes. Is like, what is next? How do I stay on top of it? Just like the Threads thing you were talking about.
Yeah,
Threads
I
is
didn't
like,
know what that was. I thought it was. I thought it was a new short. I thought it was a competition of bird dogs.
Yeah,
I thought it was shorts.
Right, but we're literally driving here today.
Out.
What's it, Wills?
Yeah,
he literally it's inches away from
it starts to ride.
That crease.
It starts to ride.
Yeah,
my ass eats.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love it.
But Threads, I didn't even know about. Literally, we were driving here. And they're talking about Threads, and I was like, "What the fuck is what is Threads?"
Yeah,
I'm like thinking in my head.
I don't know.
But like things just come out of nowhere, like this. Have you seen this grimace shake thing?
Look at this.
You've been rolling at 1,000,000 miles an hour,
dude. It's unfucking believable what's going on right now. And people are like, "You should get." They'll send me messages. Oh, you can get injections, Botox injections. You can get this or that. This is natural, dude. This is natural leak anatomy, and I don't care because you know what I'm sweating out? The vaccine.
There you go.
You got the vaccine?
No. Yes. Yes, I did.
You're in New York. You 100% got it.
You had to get it, dude. You had fucking no choice. But I got it out of me.
Quick.
Yeah, dude. I fucking got it right out. As soon as I got it, man, I just started jerking off. Like I was jerking off in the Walgreens to just fucking get it out.
Get it out of there.
Yeah.
What do you read and listen to? Stoicism.
Okay.
Clearly.
So the last two books I've read, first one is called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. That's a great book about finance and stuff like that. Puts everything in layman's terms. Then I read every morning. I read a page of this book called The Daily Dad by Ryan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
You know Ryan Holiday and The Daily Dad. So if you guys don't know,
Get
that's
the little email subscription.
Love it. I'm subscribed to that, and I read a page from The Daily Dad every day. And now I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm also rereading 1776 by David McCullough, just because, 4th of July, I was like, I just want to be reminded that literally
you're a patriot.
I mean, we are the greatest. We are the greatest 350 million humans the world has ever seen. Is the American
every
citizens.
single one of them.
100%. Yeah, dude.
love that,
I
dude.
literally, an American in a wheelchair is better than the best fighter that Russia or Ukraine has ever had, just because he's got red, white, and
You're,
fucking blood all
you're
over his
talking. I'm
veins.
literally like flexing my
100%,
pecs, like
dude.
ready to fucking go.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Hell yes.
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
My
You
wife's
could
from
be-
Canada. She just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
She doesn't fucking understand.
She doesn't understand at all.
I was trying to tell her
Yeah.
about the 4th of July and the
Yeah.
reason why fireworks are going off.
Yeah.
And the reason why we celebrate all of this.
Exactly.
And just telling, like, hey, just say thank you.
Yeah.
For everything we've done for you.
Yeah.
D-Day.
Yeah.
We're back-to-back
Yeah.
world champs.
You're welcome. And she's just sitting there fucking rubbing maple syrup all over her.
No question.
like, no thanks,
Wearing
dude.
all denim.
Yeah.
It's
no
disgusting.
thanks, dude. No
It is
thanks,
disgusting.
bro. I got fucking hot dogs coming out of every hole in my body.
No question, dude.
Is it-
Speaking of hot dogs, Joey Chestnut.
The best.
What an American hero.
No
that guy
gag
is.
reflex.
No, he just rolls.
That guy just. The thing I like to think about Joey Chestnut is, could you? I would like to see. I really would like to, because we all know what he could do there. I need to see the toilet bowl 20 minutes later. I think that's the documentary. Is what does this guy's shit look like? Because how can you possibly consume 65 hot dogs in whatever it is, 10 minutes, and then not shit blood? How is it
You
possible?
know who's fucking up? The toilet paper brands. You need to be stocking him up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Charmin needs to be a main
Yeah.
sponsor.
Yes.
Yeah, they because it does that makes a lot of sense. And I think the guy before him, the Kobayashi guy, was ripped, dude, ripped, because I think he used to eat like a lot of roughage and kind of he would talk about like eating lettuce and stuff that was like an actual like ab workout. Like if you don't have to go to the gym, just eat a bunch of lettuce.
I don't think that plays.
Dude,
I
I'm
don't think
telling
that
you,
plays. He looked great. I know who you're talking about. but I
Yeah,
don't think
every
that's the
time I
move.
see a guy with abs, I'm like, that guy eats mad lettuce. That's it. Yeah, but that guy fell by the wayside now, Kobayashi.
Yeah.
He's that fucking Joey Chestnut crushed him.
Seems
I saw
like-
Joey Chestnut once in Buffalo, and I was like, oh, Joey Chestnut, and he acted too cool. I was like, relax. You eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
That's
impressive,
gotta be
but
tough.
Just relax, guy.
Yeah.
Dude,
Just
I was around him one time as well. I forget. It was in Florida, and he does have kind of that vibe. Like,
Yeah. Which, hey, you're the best to ever do it. Best to ever do it. No doubt
Yeah,
about it.
but still,
But it's
dude, I
also
hate
like,
that
guy,
shit.
like, why don't you know what I mean? Let's just relax.
You
okay?
can see it. You can see it on his face, like
Yeah,
as
yeah.
he's going back out there to rally the people to have that.
Yeah.
Put the show back on. The show
Yeah.
will go on.
I hate that though.
But
when
he
you meet
did.
somebody and they act like that, it's
He's
the
still
fucking worst.
Well, he's one of the goats, so
He is. Yeah,
we
he's
don't
one
know
of
what
the
it's like
goats.
to be him.
You're right.
You know what I
I
mean? We
guess
don't know
I
what
guess
it
that's
is.
one way to
There's
put
probably
it.
a lot of pressure.
He's
a lot
one of the goats.
expectations.
He's one of the goats of like the food industry. Like I think when
He's
you-
got to be the goat, yeah.
he's the goat of that.
Gordon
like I think when
Ramsay.
you, well, I think you think of the three
Guy
goats.
Fieri?
I think you think of the three goats. I think you think of Joey Chestnut. You think of Gordon Ramsay. You think of Jared Fogle. That's what I think you think of. Those
Like
are-
Guy Fieri.
No, but I think Jared Fogle. I think you think he's the goat for Subway sandwiches. Not for the other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, although if we're just talking about pure numbers, he might be the goat of that too. I don't know.
About Papa John.
Nice. Yes, Papa John. Papa John's one of those guys who I actually never minded Papa John's pizza. I never minded it at all. It was sometimes so good that, I remember eating that, especially the pizzerias in Brooklyn, because the pizzerias in Brooklyn, that's why I think I like Papa John's, because the pizzerias in Brooklyn, I mean, those guys are all saying the N-word. So I was like, oh, this is just what pizza makers do. So I didn't understand what the
For some
controversy.
weird reason, this feels like home.
Yeah, I was like, I thought this is what these guys do. I thought, oh, okay, because Vinny from Third Avenue says that every time I get a suntan, that's what he calls me.
Papa John's was a spot where you went for the specialty pizzas.
Oh, 100%.
You
Now
know
in
what I mean? Like
Missouri,
growing up.
that's like a gourmet, right? Like Papa John's like in Missouri, is it Papa John's, Little Caesars Pizza? Where are you taking like your mom out for her 50th birthday? Where's a nice place like, Mom, I'm treating you.
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden, that's where you're gonna go.
Yeah, Olive Garden's like a 5-star establishment
100%.
in Missouri.
Yeah, dude.
There's
The
no
breadsticks
question.
are legit.
Yeah, when you'd have like prom or any type of formal dances in high school, like you're trying to get up to the city, 45-minute drive, and take them to Olive Garden.
Right. That's because where's the city? St. Louis?
St. Louis was the closest city.
Right. There's nothing going on in St. Louis.
We got
got
the
the Arch.
Cardinals. Yeah, we got the Cardinals. We got the Arch.
Oh, that's right, the Arch.
The Arch is
Busch
there.
Stadium,
Right.
Ballpark Village.
There you go.
Yeah, they got a couple things going on out there. Nelly, we had Nelly for a good
Oh yeah,
minute.
no, yeah. I actually like St. Louis. I'm going to be there in I think October. The pageant, theater I'm going to be at. And I remember when I went to St. Louis, when I went to the Cardinals game, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is just the observation I made. When I went to the Cardinals game, it was weird because it was like almost 100% of the fans watching the game were white and 100% of the workers were black. Is that true?
I don't know. I think we'd have
Can you
to
zoom
get
in on
JP
his face,
fat.
please?
think-
I want to see if he's lying.
Just started like sweating.
Can you zoom in?
I
Yes.
don't know if that's.
Yeah, his pits are like this.
Can you pull it up, JP?
Yeah. No, I know. I think Busch Stadium is one of those stadiums. I think I heard that they designed it where every seat is like angled toward home plate, so it's one of the best spectator parks.
Dude, it's one of
Yeah.
Cardinals baseball is one of the best.
Yeah. But I will say, when I worked for MLB, I did a show called Off the Bat there. It was on MTV too, in like 2014. I mean, nobody watched this thing, and again, kiss of death, and
This might be your big break, is Bussin' with
dude,
the boys.
I hope so. And then so I remember we did the show, and every team was cool except the Cardinals and the Yankees. Like, they thought like who the fuck they were, didn't want to work with anybody, and I was kind of want to be like, guy, like, nobody cares about really either one. Like, just shut. The Cardinals are great and the Yankees are great, but at the end of the day, like, fans of sports, I'm a sports fan, but like the fans that like live and die with their teams and players, I'm like, so I'll sometimes talk about like sports on stage, and somebody like, if I talk about like the Mets or the Yankees, somebody's like, boo, I'm a Phillies fan. It's like, do you realize that you as a diehard Phillies fan, if you got within 1 foot of Bryce Harper, he would hit you with the Louisville Slugger across your fucking head, and you would look like Stephen Hawking for the rest of your life. So stop praising athlete. Like, don't make it your whole identity a fucking sports team. You know what I mean? You guys were NFL athletes. It's great. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I just felt like the Cardinals and the Yankees, like they thought they were like gods. I was like, I'll give you all Tommy John right now. I'll give you all. I'll cut open
Start slashing elbows.
I'll literally pull out your ulnar collateral ligament right now, and I'll fucking eat it like Joey Chestnut.
All right, bear with me. I know we're interrupting the episode again for Lightbox Jewelry. This is a reason why we have to interrupt this episode. The gift that's changing the game. Level up your gift giving with Lightbox lab-grown diamonds. You can buy set jewelry from lightboxjewelry.com, or you can buy a loose lab-grown diamond ready for your giftee to set how they like or create a piece together. Stunning loose stones with transparent pricing and fantastic value for the quality of stone that you're getting. Lightbox has leveled up its lab-grown diamonds, combining innovation with lab-grown diamond quality that has to be seen to be believed. Lightbox has changed the game. What you see is what you get, boys. And what you get is ready to take a jeweler from a stunning custom piece like a necklace, pair of earrings, or just a simple ring and score major points with the perfect gift with the woman of your dreams. A lot of people think custom jewelry is out of their reach. That's bullshit. Lightbox's easy approach to buying stones means you can shop for a great value, quality, great lab-grown diamond, and have express shipping ready to take to a jeweler. Take 10% off when you shop now at lightboxjewelry.com using the code THEBOYSPOD10. That's THEBOYSPOD10, and you get 10% off. Lightboxjewelry.com. Back to the episode. Dude, we were doing a draft. A fans draft with the Chicago. Were you?
I wasn't on
You wasn't on that, but they were going on and on about Yankees fans and Cardinals fans. Like, Yankees fans are just unbearing because you got the Northeast people. You know,
Yeah, it's just like annoying.
it's over the top. But also then, like, they talked about the Midwest, like with St. Louis Cardinals fans, and it's like the fans in baseball think they're so much better than everybody.
Yeah.
I was like,
Dude,
I mean,
I'm telling you,
we
that movie,
kinda-
A Bronx Tale with Chaz Palminteri, that's like every child should just watch that because it's like, it's so much knowledge in that movie. Nobody cares. You know, when he talks about Mickey Mantle, when the kid's like obsessed with Mickey Mantle, he's like, Mickey Mantle doesn't care about you. It's like, it's so beyond true that I like the athletes. I'd like to see more athletes just leaning into that.
I don't give
like-
a fuck about you guys.
Yeah, being like, I don't, like, I'd rather be having sex with my side piece than going to visit this cancer hospital for the kids. I really would love to get a blowjob before the game, but I have to talk to this kid who's going to die next week whether I hit a home run or not. It's like, just give up, you know? He might. So it's like, I like more real people where they're like, yeah, I forgot somebody was real about something, an athlete last year. I won't remember, but somebody said something it was like fucking hilarious. Like, I forgot. It's probably Marshawn Lynch or somebody great like that. That's just like, yeah, dude. I mean, did you guys feel like as athletes, like, you had to like be like godlike to the kids?
I think at points in time, yeah,
Right.
you had to like, but kids are way different than the 45-year-old adults that are wearing your jersey. It's a way different vibe.
Yeah,
Like, kids are looking up to you.
That's
and
true.
are truly thinking of you as a
Good
god.
point.
And you want to give them the time, be like, bro, listen.
Children. If a
Yes.
child, I think that's a good point. Games and stuff like that in sports arenas, that should be for. I think going to sports games and jiu-jitsu is for kids. I don't want to see you as an adult doing jiu-jitsu. Either you did it and you learned it. I don't need to see you 45 years old fucking just getting into jiu-jitsu because Anthony Bourdain did. He also killed himself, rightfully so. So it's just like, just stop with jiu-jitsu as an adult and stop going to games and making it your fucking life. It's like I think, yeah, it should be kid stuff. I like a child in a jersey. Good call. Good call on that.
Yeah.
But adults, yeah, there is something weird about a 45-year-old guy that's like he wants another man's name on his back for his birthday.
Yeah. We have a thing. If you wear our names on the back of your jersey, we get to fuck you. Like,
Yeah,
we
I
have
don't-
free.
I'm all about the jerseys.
Yeah.
I don't
fuck
mind
Jefferson?
it.
Did
I
you
just
fuck
want to know I
Jefferson?
have that option if it
Yeah.
all comes up. That's the availability. Here's where I think fans put their identity in teams is as human beings, cavemen, we want to be a part of something. You feel safer that way. If you're a part of a village or a community, you feel safer and you have an identity in that and you're able to grow and flourish much more.
Right.
And so we haven't evolved enough. We, at the end of the day, go to college. You want to be a part of a fraternity because you want a sense of community. You get out of college, you're in a city, let me join this fan base and be a part of it. And then you raise your kids and like that is the community
It's a
aspect.
tribalism.
Yeah, in a way, absolutely.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the catch. And my father knew this. I dated a girl once 10 years ago. I really liked her, right? Great. I was like, this got to bring her home to meet my pops. Immediately, I could see my pops does not like this girl. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what it is. Is it because she's Chinese? I have no idea. And I'm like, so what is going on? So she leaves. I'm like, how great, was she? I was like, seems like you didn't like her. He goes, yeah, you're damn right I don't like her. I said, why? He goes, you can't trust this broad. I said, what? He goes, she's a Yankees fan. I said, yeah, exactly. We're all Yankees fans. That's why I thought you'd love her. She goes, she's from Boston. Why the fuck is she a Yankees fan? And I was like, wow. He was like, you're never going to trust anybody that if they go against their own town and they pick the rival team, fuck that person forever. And I was like, holy shit. And dude, she turned out to be a bitch.
No
she
shit.
turned out to be a fucking bitch. And she was actually a deceitful person. And my dad knew it. My dad called that just on that thing. He was like, she was trying to empathize with him about, oh, I'm a Yankees fan too. And then he was like, oh, really? He goes, where'd you grow up? And she's like, oh, I grew up in Boston. And then immediately
He
was
knew
like,
right then and there.
he was like, because he's like,
You don't learn that lesson unless you have the fandom from your father.
because he doesn't care. If you're a Red Sox fan, even though that's not the team he likes, he's like, if you're from Boston, go for it. I'll get along with you because at least it's one town. Your town, your team. I get it. So he never understood the people that were fans of other teams. If you're from that city, he's like, listen, it's he would always say like geography it's your destiny. If you were born there, that's where you were fucking born. Unfortunately, you got to like that team, even if they're a last place team. That's just how it is. And I'm like, all right,
Man.
that's how he's old. The old
That's a
school
big
guys
that's a
are like
big
that.
line to draw in the sand though. Is just because you're born there, you have to be a fan of that team.
He's like that. That's old
That
school
is the
mentality.
Northeast.
Yeah,
That is the Northeast.
Dude, my dad, ready for this? My dad's 75 years old. The first time he left New York state lines was 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. He
No
never
shit.
left. He never crossed one toe outside New York state lines. It's just old school. And he doesn't care. By the way, he didn't care. It was just his wife just made him do it.
Really?
He just didn't care at all. He was like, I couldn't care less if I ever leave the state. Which is interesting. I was like, don't you want to see Italy? He's like, I'll see it on YouTube. I was like, nice.
Dude, the pride in people of New York is insane.
It is insane.
It's a wild fucking deal because we were driving here and I'm just looking at all these buildings like, how do people fucking live here? And you're telling me about your dad who would never fucking leave here.
Never.
You're saying you never fucking leave here.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I almost envy people who aren't born and raised in New York because you guys had experience. You left your state. You had a motivation to want to get out of your city, get out of your state, go to another college, see stuff. Where in New York, it always felt like everyone was coming to us. So you get this mindset. You're like, why do I want to leave here? Like none of my friends out of I have like a big 30-person friend group. None of them, not one, left New York to go to college. 0 people dormed. Everybody went to school locally, and which is like you go to other places, like that's unheard of. Everybody's going to schools all over. Everybody's getting out. But growing up here, it's weird. It's like you just, like, I don't know if it's changed now, but back when I was in college, high school, college, it was like people stayed local all the time because I think we're like, we got the best clubs here, we got the food, we got, and it is a little bit silly. I mean, you got to get out of it and to appreciate it more. But it's like a mindset. Like most people that grew up in my neighborhood, they've been in that same 10-block radius their whole life, which is good and bad, you know?
Yeah.
I know, but it's, yeah.
Of all the places you traveled, if you couldn't live in the Northeast, because I feel like an easy cop out here would be like a Boston or something like that. Where would you live? Where would you want to live? Because I'm sure you've traveled a lot for comedy. You've seen probably most of the states at this point.
Yeah, I think I've been to almost all of them. Now, I would say, where would I want to live? If I could you're saying I could take my family.
You're allowed to take your family, brother. We've done you have made it very clear.
Trust me,
You
I
are
know
not
you're
letting
not.
them know.
I could take these Puerto Ricans. I'm not going to have to pay a Puerto Rican tax anywhere.
No.
And if I want to go to like some real southern state where you have to pay a tax if your kid is from an island.
You're free and clear.
I'm free and clear of that
Free and
tax,
clear.
of the Puerto Rican tax, the
Yeah.
PRT. I would move to Charleston, South Carolina.
Really?
Is that where you're from?
I'm from Greenville, South Carolina.
Nice. That city, I love that city. That city felt like to me what I would imagine like a colonial, like how it felt in its colonial days. Like it kind of got that. I just felt like that city. I love the history. I'm a big history, so boom. It was small enough, but yet big enough where I feel like I wouldn't be able to consume it all in a week. And there's probably new things happening all the time. It's an up-and-coming city. You can go to different places that are just 20 miles outside of it that are structurally different and, you know, politically different. So it's all different schemes. And I thought the weather, that I know it gets hot as fuck, but I thought that like the weather, at least when I was there in the wintertime, was like beautiful, perfect. I think I'd go to Charleston. Yeah, and I love the food. I love the food there. And I love the people. The vibe of the people there were really, really good people. Was really like a good vibe.
That's because you grew up here.
Right, because you don't like them where you're from.
Not that you don't like Northeast people. It's just like it's just a different person. Like it's A to B.
Yeah.
Fuck, it doesn't matter what's going on in your way. People just
Right.
It's not a very hospitable.
Right.
Every region you grow up in, you're told that the other regions are like X, Y, and Z. I grew up in Arizona.
Right.
They're like, hey man, Northeast, they're all mean up there. And then
Right.
I live in
Assholes.
Michigan. They're like, hey, down south, they're all
Yeah, they're bad.
racist.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
it's like it's a whole like different deal.
Right.
And then you go. I've been up north. I've lived down south. I've lived in the west, and it's like everyone's kind of the same. It's just how they approach their delivery
Yeah.
of how to say things.
You can't generalize. Anybody who like generalizes a group of people, I think, is a fucking idiot. It's like it is so like case by case basis. It's been proven time and time again. It's like you can't generalize groups. The tribalism thing is real. That happens in every animal in the animal kingdom. It's like you want to be with like-minded people. You want to be with people that if it's that they look like you, if it's that they have the same religion as you, the same team, whatever. But I think that yeah, man, like you can't just like when I probably like Charleston because of the people that I met in those specific days I was there, right? So that's why I'm like attached to it, so it works for me. But, you know, I just went to Italy or Sicily, and I went to Taormina, Sicily, and I had a great time there. It was awesome, amazing, and it was the first time ever that I went to a place and I actually fell in love with the people. I would hear people say that, oh, you fall in love with the people, and I would just be like, what? That meant nothing to me. I never felt that. But then with these people, I felt it because they're like in more ancient culture, way more ancient than, you know, American culture. So I was at the hotel, and I asked the guy that I gotten to know there for the few days I was there. It was like an old, like wise Italian guy. I was like, "What do you think? Like, what's something you notice about people here?" He was like, "Here's the thing. The number one thing that I noticed from all these years I'm working at this hotel." He was like a baggage hop guy, and he was like, "The people that have the most luggage have the worst time, always, exclusively. If you have a lot of luggage, you will inevitably have a bad time because you're totally consumed with yourself and your things, and you don't realize that you're coming to a place to leave those things behind. You're coming for a new experience." He goes, and it's always Americans, mostly. It's always people from the America, Canada. Usually they come with so much stuff and they never have a good time. He's like, where I see people from the Philippines, or he's like, I see people from the Middle East, they come here, they have just like a book bag, they're having a great time. They're like, no complaints. They never work. They never yell at the staff. They never want more. They never demand of us anything. I was like, wow. So pack light.
Live heavy.
That's right, baby. Bud Light.
Twisted Tea.
Yeah, I like
It's a
Twisted
Tea podcast.
You like yo? Is this Twisted Tea? Shout it out, TT.
Yeah.
Yeah, TT.
Love Twisted Tea, dude.
Chris has to leave at 4. Apparently.
Do I really?
Fuck, 2
No, I
minutes.
don't. I mean, whatever, dude. Go to as long as you.
That's your. That's probably before you even came on the podcast. Like, hey, let's make sure.
Yeah, you never know. You
Hard
probably
out.
sit in the car being like, I don't know who these guys are. I'm gonna,
No,
I'll
of course
make
I
a
know you
hard
guys.
four.
What do you think I jerk off to?
Perfect.
And
I love
and-
it.
Jeffree Star episode,
Cauliflower
right?
eater.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, Jeffree Star, how great was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a very unique experience for me.
Nice. How's the cock?
Bigger than I expected with that slender body. You think
Right.
it? Yeah, I was thinking a little less.
No, dude. When you see a slender guy,
You know
Brother.
that though. You
Brother.
know
they have
that.
a missile.
Let me tell you
bro.
something. I can point them out now.
Let me ask
If
you.
you live in a locker room long enough, you know the type.
We interrupt this moment to bring you Twisted Tea. Our Twisted question is brought to you by Twisted Tea, the smoothest hard iced tea out there, out in the game, perfect for pool parties, perfect on any occasion. Keep it twisted with Twisted Tea. This drink, fellas, iced tea on steroids, iced tea on alcohol. It goes down smooth. It'll sneak you up by the end of the day, but it is the most refreshing drink to have. When we helped open the Barstool bar and shot that thing off, having Twisted Tea there, I'm telling you, it is the best drink for the best occasion. Grab a refreshing Twisted Tea today. Here's the Twisted question.
Well, who? I don't know if you've spoken about this on the show, but who that you haven't seen? Okay, so it can't be no. Who do you think has the biggest dick in the NFL right now?
I know
Just
a
off
couple-
looks alone,
A couple fucking jump out at me right
Right.
now.
I know you've seen a lot.
right? Because you've seen them all. So the one you might know for sure, but like, who is it? Just the biggest, fattest, uncircumcised cock in the NFL.
That'd be Rodrigo Blankenship.
No fucking shot.
The skinny, like, nerdy kicker from, or is he with Tampa right now?
Yeah, but I haven't
He was
seen
with
it.
the
He's
Colts
asking
for a
what
while.
we've seen.
No, I'm saying what you haven't seen. I'm saying
Oh,
about
we
what you
haven't
think.
seen.
What you think? Because I've seen them all.
Fuck.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's got to be a DB
You think?
or a wide receiver.
Think so?
Yeah, dude, the big boys, all that meat on the
Dude, I feel
tummy
like-
pulls it away.
I think DeAndre Hopkins might have something.
That's what I was thinking
yes,
about,
bro.
Hopkins was in my head.
He wears 5X gloves.
5X gloves. He's kinda
Slender
got that
guy.
slender,
That's-
He's got that. He
athletic
got the
build.
shoulders forward
Dude,
walk.
that's-
If you have a
he
shoulders
does. You
forward
got the
walk,
hunt- you
That's
got
who
the-
I thought.
short forward walk, big hands,
Yeah.
slender body. Peace.
Known
Yeah.
for sex parties.
No, is he?
It's rumored. It's been rumored to me.
You know what? Too is I might be cheating a little bit because Ben Jones did tell me that it's a fucking
Hog.
monster.
Well, that's good though that I got to say it because I didn't know that.
Boom.
And I was thinking it. So that has to be. He has to have a huge dick.
got to.
That thing's got to be massive.
It's got
When you got, and you might have talked about this before, but this is when you guys like, was it a call that you got like saying like, "Hey, I'm going to the NFL"? Like, what was that like? Was it like a moment that you'll never forget, or was it like just a moment that came and went?
Oh, it's a moment you never forget.
Like never forget. Like you started crying.
No, that
Oh.
for me. When you talk about like Ryan Holiday, like, the ego is the enemy and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
when you're in college, or at least then, you're so wrapped up in when am I getting picked and stuff like that. I was the 11th overall pick in 2014,
Right.
and there were 2 tackles taken before me.
Look at you now.
and I was fucking mad. I was livid And
Because
so-
people were taken before you.
taken before me. So
Because
I
you thought you deserved to be number one.
I thought I deserved to be the first or second tackle taken off the board. I
Who
thought I
was the
better.
first pick in your draft?
First pick in my draft was Jadeveon Clowney.
Okay.
Second pick was Greg Robinson. No. Greg Robinson, then Khalil Mack.
Greg Robinson was the left tackle, yeah?
Greg Robinson was a left
It
tackle.
feels like this draft they were picking in dick size. They went down. Clowney's number one, and then you're the 11th.
Yeah,
You're
well,
the 11th
no,
biggest
brother.
dick.
I would have been undrafted free agent. I'd have been fielding calls, hoping to get a tryout. That's what would happen for me.
So you were in. That's very interesting.
yeah, but it's
And
also
forgive me if you guys have spoken about this ad nauseum, but I just think that's fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
right? To think because you're such an elite athlete, if you're the 11th pick in the draft, but you still found a way to be upset, as all human minds do.
But that is like I think that is plays such a big factor in sports is you have to have like some sort of like reason to keep a chip on your shoulder, a reason to be like, what's next? You're never in the moment. You're always consumed about what's next
Yes.
and how I'm going to get there, and I'll railroad whoever I got to do to get to the point where I feel like I finally succeeded in everything.
Interesting. Yeah, I heard Joe Rogan say once on his podcast, I forget who, that like you have to create a vendetta with someone sometimes,
Yes.
even though it's not real. Keep it in your head.
Brother,
Don't
it's
tell
always
them
a battle.
about it.
Yeah.
Keep it, but you have motivation.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it is one of those deals. At least for me, I'm sure a lot of guys have different paths, and because you can't generalize everybody, But for me, that was definitely what kept me motivated. Is if I were to have success in a season individually, the minute that success was announced, I would be solely focused on making sure it wasn't a fluke. And people think this is a one-time thing, and you literally tell yourself whatever you have to tell yourself to make sure that it happens again.
Right.
And it's a brutal way to live your life. But when you get cut, like for a lot of guys, it's way different. For me, the writing was on the wall. I had 2 ACLs in 3 years. So for me, it's like you have 2 ACLs in 3 years in the contract I was supposed to get to the next year. It's like obviously this is going to happen, and then have this to fall back on and be like, there's a level of safety and knowing like, okay, like I know there's a way to financially figure out what I want and have fulfillment to where you're like, all right, I'm going to be okay, which I think a lot of players don't get. A lot of players try to start the next thing before they're even done. And we started this in 2018. And
did you meet on the field?
We played each other in college.
Okay.
He went to Nebraska, went to Michigan.
But we didn't meet. Like, we didn't know each other.
No, we didn't know each other. I just knew he was a white boy. A white boy with the last
Tennessee.
name Compton. I was like, holy fuck, this guy's a problem probably.
Hell yeah.
Little did I know.
And then you, what were you drafted?
I was undrafted.
So it's for you then, you just got a call out of nowhere, like you're getting to the big
Yeah,
leagues.
there's like hopes of being drafted in the later rounds, and when it didn't happen, it kind of just happens quickly after the draft. Like, hey, there's a few teams in the mix, and then the agent calls and like, hey, you're signing with Washington. So then the next week you go out to Washington for rookie minicamp and everything else. And then my first year I spent on the practice squad and then was active the very last game of the season in week 1, which was my like moment of like calling my dad and being like, yo, this is fucking, I'm doing it. Like I'm getting called up.
And that must have been a sick call for your dad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bill loved that.
Yeah, Bill was so fired up. And
That's awesome.
Are you a big football fan? Like, do you know who London Fletcher is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He's
I like the first team for you is the Redskins. You look
Yeah.
like you have the voice of like the guy that invented the name.
that was funny as fuck.
Well, I'm a
But in the second year I made the team and everything else, and I had like kind of like a slower climb and all that. But a lot of my like chip and everything else came with like front office fans, like just wanting to prove everybody wrong that
Sure.
like I belonged in the league.
Right.
And could play, and each year was trying to attain like a new level.
And how many years were you in?
9.
Wow.
10 arguably, but
Also have to cut it?
No,
Oh.
don't cut it. Clip it.
Oh, okay.
what's up?
You said 9.
Yeah.
Y'all had the argument. You played 10 years. Taylor says you played maybe 7.
8 is what I did, but we don't have to go back down that path. I think we've done a lot of work since then. Will played 10 years in the NFL. Everything except for stepping on the field for the 10th year.
Having having the series back and forth. 9, I was about to play my 10th year. We had I had a gambling show going on, and so the NFL didn't allow me to get back in when I was
Wow.
about to sign with Atlanta last year.
Those bastards.
Yeah, bunch of fucking cunts, dude.
But you're done. You don't want to even go back to the NFL. You would. Interesting.
Depends.
Nice.
For the right
Situational.
price.
Dude,
Yeah.
you should start a football league in Saudi Arabia. That's what I would do
That's
if
where
I
the
were
money
you,
is.
dude. That's
That's
where the fucking money is.
I
dude.
tried telling The Rock, like I tried making a video and telling The Rock I'd come to the XFL if he came on the podcast, but he didn't want to pick
He didn't
me up
listen
on
to
that.
you?
Now it comes out they've lost millions and millions of dollars.
Exactly. There you go.
So they probably should have made that move.
You know what's
but,
one thing? You know why I pick you over The Rock? You got cauliflower ear. He doesn't. Exactly. Fuck. I go with a guy with cauliflower ear, dude.
Got to,
all
need to.
fucking day, dude. I'll nibble your vegan ears all day.
But yeah, so that's that story.
But
in
it
a
is
nutshell.
really like an amazing thing to be NFL players. Like it's such a small percentage of human beings that would ever do that. It's like fascinating. Like just think about the amount of people that ever lived and how hard it is to be a professional athlete in America. And both of you guys did that. That like has to be, but it's amazing how your brains will convince you, or like Kevin Hart's brain will convince him that your guys aren't shit, and that like you'll look at, I'm not Tom Brady. Like Kevin Hart will look at somebody and be like, I don't have as many specials as George Carlin or Richard Pryor. Isn't it fascinating? But I think that's a defense mechanism too. Our brains are like survive, keep pushing, motivate,
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I was gonna
imposter
say that.
syndrome,
Yeah.
all that shit. But yeah, man, you guys. Unfortunately, it didn't work out long term. You're now doing a podcast with me, but. on the years that it did work out, it's fucking fascinating, and that's really, really cool.
All good
Yeah,
things
but-
have to come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
But
Well, you could have went into
did the same
broadcasting
thing.
or something.
No, that's overrated, dude.
Is it really? But you
Yeah.
get you only get big
Structured?
money.
You get told what you gotta.
Can't say this. I have to say that.
You
Make
get to
sure
sit
you
behind
watch
mics and just
all that.
fucking talk
fuck
about
that.
jerk-off
Yeah, I want to
stories
talk
and
about my
stuff.
ass warts, and I can't do that on Monday Night Football.
Can't do that. Not one
because
bit.
they're pussies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're giving all these compliments to us, dude. The same thing goes for you. How many people on this earth have gotten a laugh from somebody else? Who could do it professionally?
I mean, a lot more people than have
1%.
gotten in the NFL. I mean, way more people. It's so much easier to get a laugh than get into the NFL. I mean, you guys have fucking done crazy shit.
How many comedians would you say make six figures a year?
398. No. How many comedians make six figures a year?
Yeah.
I would say six figures now with podcasting and being able to monetize on YouTube. I would say we're probably at, if let's say we had 100,000 people doing comedy, right? Which it's probably less than that, but just easy. I would say at least 20,000 of them are making six figures. And then I think,
20,000?
You think it's too high?
I
don't know. It depends. If let's talk strictly comedy, selling out shows, touring, doing specials.
Selling out shows, touring, doing specials seems like a lot of people, but it's actually really, well, now anybody can put out a special on YouTube, but let's just say,
But selling, making
let's
six
say
figures.
selling out shows, comedy clubs and or theaters, that's the actual barometer, because it's like whether you get on TV or have a special is irrelevant. It's if you are selling the tickets or not is what matters and is the barometer kind of for us. It's like our professionals, like if you can sell out a theater, of 1,000 seats or more, it's like you're doing very, very well.
So how many think are doing that?
So
on any given year?
that I think in any given year, honestly, truly, because it feels like a lot, but I think truly maybe like 100 in the whole.
That was the number that was in my head.
In the whole
Yeah, I was
country.
thinking it's got to be a couple.
Because I mean, you have the
Yeah,
Kevin
most.
Harts and those of the world. I mean, those guys are in the stratosphere. But really, there's only like for comedians, there are about 10 arena acts, right? You think there's so many, but it's like 10. It's like Kevin Hart, Sebastian Maniscalco, Nate Bargatze now from Nashville's getting up there. There's not that many that are Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, big acts. But then it's like after that, it's like Andrew Schultz. But it's like already, it's like there's not that many more. So I think there's only like 100 that could like sell out, because you think that people are bigger than they are. You think like, oh, so and so's got a movie or got a big TV show, won an Emmy, or is on SNL, and then you'll talk to the club or theater manager. They're like, oh, so and so was here last week. They didn't sell dick. They sold like 30% of the room out. And so I don't know what the reasons are why that happens. There's many, many different variables, but I think that selling tickets is always what my goal was. Is like I was like, I just got to sell. That's what gives comedians the longevity. It's like ticket sales, because the TV show can go away, the podcast can go away, but if the fans are going to come every time you come to their city, you're golden, dude. That's all you got to fucking worry about is live performing, and that also is the separator, right? Like anybody can put a YouTube special out, anybody can have a TikTok, anybody can do that, and anybody can get big doing that. But when they come to see you and you can kill live, that's the thing. And then when they come back, the biggest test is the second year. What is your new material? What is your new hour? And if you can, kill again, then you start to become like, okay, now I got this shit. Anybody can, everybody. We could all write 10 killer minutes right here, and then you can just keep doing that and throw that out on TikTok and get 20 million followers, and then sell out a fucking theater tour. But you can do that once. It's about the guys who can do it again and again and again. That's like the difference maker.
Right. When you started comedy, how inviting was that culture? Was it tough, or was it?
No, not inviting at all. No,
Really?
not at all. Especially in New York. No way, dude. They didn't. That you have to. The difference is when you start in New York City, okay, you have to go through the open mic scene, like you have to do in any city. The key difference is when you go through the open mic scene in other cities, it's paid. It's audience members. It's like people who don't know, who are just going out for a show, and they're like, oh, this is new joke night, or this is open mic night. So it's a difference. When you go in New York, it's other comics who are in the crowd. So those other comics, the last thing they want you to do is succeed, because they're like, you're my competition, fuck you. They're also never listening to you because we're worried about writing our own jokes and we're on stage next. And their minds are so dark that when you get a laugh, you have to question, is this actually funny? Or did I just say something that is so disgusting that it made these psychopaths laugh? So, and also the best of the best for comedies, at least when I started, it's Nashville and Chicago and LA, all huge scenes, but New York was the big scene. It's like you have to cut through so many motherfuckers to get even on stage, that it's like if the ones that can make it through there, like you've almost made it like nationally then, because it's like it's a lot easier to get out of even great cities like Boston, they have great comics there, but it's easier to get through that scene because it's just so much smaller. Where in New York, you have to get through you might have to get through like 5,000 guys to get on stage. Like it's a lot of guys. And I know I know we all we're not batting eye at 5,000 guys. That's a Friday night for us. Yeah. But when it's comedy, it's hard to make it out of here. But that's also another reason why I don't want to leave, because I think there is something subconscious where I'm like, that's all, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I think that it's not as prevalent as it was when he sang the song, but I still think there is something about New York where it's like the top people in every field are, at least some of them are here always. And so there's it's the hardest path, the most resistance is definitely here.
Yeah, I know when we had Nate on the first time, he talked about that, just the grind of being in New York.
Dude, you look back at old pictures of Nate Bargatze when he was grinding here. He looked like a lesbian. He literally looked like a full lesbian woman. That's what New York does.
More, he's faded up.
Dude, I was going to say, he went from literally looking like a full lesbian woman to like he's like one of the most handsome men to ever do comedy now, because he beat New York. But it took a toll on him physically. I mean, he looked like an Amish lesbian. Like he had bangs. It was bizarre what Nate looked. And then he came out and now is one of the biggest comics in the world and is one of the most, look at Salt and Pepper. He's a gorgeous guy.
Well, yeah, because now he's living in a state like Tennessee.
Exactly.
He's making his way over there and getting out of New York.
He's made it.
Basically transitioned.
But he did it right. Nate wouldn't be Nate, I don't think, unless he came through the grit and grind in New York. He had to, New
York's really different like that. When you were coming up, who were you like basing your game off of it?
Bill Cosby.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought.
Which game?
Yes. We're talking off stage, on stage. No. No. Who was I basing my game on? Bill Burr, Louis C.K. Mm-hmm. Bill Burr and Louis C.K. are the guys. When I first started, it was like everybody was like these guys, because Dave Chappelle was already massive star,
right?
And so I think the guys who were a little bit older than me were like Dave Chappelle, but obviously Dave Chappelle, legend. Chris Rock, legend. Because you can't just say two white men. You better balance that shit out ethnically
quickly.
So yeah, Ali Wong, everybody's legends. Okay. And so they really are the amazing comics. But for me, it was Bill Burr and Louis C.K. When I watched those guys, I was like, holy shit. I remember watching Bill Burr when I was 21 years old on his Comedy Central or HBO half-hour special, being like, this guy is like, I have to try to do what this guy's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, because I remember we were at a house party and he was fucking killing. We were watching and we were like dying laughing. I was like, I gotta get on this path. And then it took me like 5 years to work up the courage to start comedy, but then I did it, and now I'm nowhere near Bill Burr.
Bill Burr is a legend. I asked Segura this, but like, was it ever difficult for you when you first started comedy, not sniping people's shit, like taking some of their jokes or making their jokes and twisting it to make it your personality and moving forward?
I think that. So what happened was, in the beginning with comedy, and I think most do this, or at least I did, I don't know most, but I did this, is you unintentionally, or at least I unintentionally, emulated somebody's energy. Because I didn't know what to do, and I would just see somebody, even though I'm not taking their jokes, it's like maybe a mannerism they would do or a technique they would have, because you just like don't know, and you're like emulating someone who's doing really well, and it's almost subconscious. And then it took one guy to tell me, I was still an open mic, he was like, hey man, you're not taking my jokes, but you're kind of acting out my mannerisms, and you're kind of stealing the essence, which is worse. And I never knew that. And then once he told me that, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that. But I think what I do now is, that's why from that day, again, I was 2 months into comedy, but from that day, I was like, I'm going to tell as personal of stories as possible. Like, even I'd rather be more personal and less funny, because I'm like, I know that if it actually happened to me, or actually, if I take something that happened and I'm creating it in my head how I wanted the details to go, I know that I didn't take that. I didn't steal that from anyone. I'm not emulating anyone. That is my style and my comedy. That's why I talk about my family so much. But I think that, that is actually, with comedy, you can even be a hack. You can be a hack and have, do corny generic jokes like Asians are bad drivers, or jokes about airplane food. You can do that. It's up to you. If the audience wants to laugh, they'll laugh, whatever. If you steal a joke, though, that is like being branded a pedophile. That is the only crime in comedy. That is the only thing. Everything else is good to go. Whether you think it's funny or not is subjective. It doesn't matter if so-and-so is funny and you don't think they're funny, and you'll say, well, how are they selling so many tickets? Like, well, their fans think they're funny. This is a subjective art form. Yours, football is more objective. It's like whoever scores the most points wins. That's what the game is. Yeah. This is subjective art form where it's like it's up to the fan. But if you're stealing material, that's the only thing that all of us will be like, you're out of our community forever and you'll never come back in, and you'll never be, even if you do get back in, you will never be trusted in the same way. It's the only cardinal sin is stealing material. It's literally comedy's pedophilia.
Who do you feel like has that type of image in the comedy community that the outside world might not know?
Like who stole jokes and who
stole those or allegedly stole jokes? Like you, if I say, hey, who's got that vibe out there? You have three names that just came to mind.
Like you know, I think the most famous one, and I think actually this guy has done a really good job of cleaning up his image, and he does fucking annihilate on stage, so you can't take, and with absolutely his own material now, but Carlos Mencia,
it's a good insurance policy you just gave there.
Was the first. Well, it's true though,
yeah,
because it's interesting. You know, time is very interesting, right? To me, or like when you think somebody, it's like I heard somebody say once, like sometimes you're behind, sometimes you're ahead, but in the end, the game is long, and it's only with yourself. Because it's true. Because at that time, I think whatever it is, 2008, 2009. When Carlos Mencia got accused of stealing by Joe Rogan, I believe Ari Shaffir was in that video. It was like a famous video, and it kind of like derailed Mencia's career for a bit. The Comedy Store in Los Angeles sided with Carlos Mencia and banned Joe Rogan from the club because Joe Rogan was a famous comic to us, Fear Factor, News Radio, great specialist, but nobody knew Joe Rogan collectively as they know him now. They sided with him. With Carlos Mencia, and they banned Rogan. And Rogan moved to Colorado and then started Joe Rogan Experience and became who he is now. So you would think, and that wasn't that long ago, it was 12, 13 years ago, but it was like, wow, the comedy community at large was valuing Carlos Mencia over Rogan, and now it's all changed so much. And I think everything's patched up and all good now. But it was always interesting to me how it was like, it just depends on like what time you're in the game, like what year are we talking about, what month. It's like different things are happening to different people at different times. But he's the only one, I think that unfortunately, if you talk to comics, he's like the synonymous name with the stealing, which I don't know is that fair anymore because he's done he was always a comic that crushed, that I don't think anybody would deny that. Absolutely crushed for 2 hours. So it's like, that's he's extremely talented. But, you know, if you rip just a few jokes, that's the thing. It's like, it's not a small, you think it's just a small crime, but it's a huge, like you can't do that. You can't, because it's like the only thing that we have, you know? Now there is one other school of thought where it's like the Stoics would say, who cares if they steal the jokes? It's not about that. You did the joke, you did the good thing. You getting upset that he or she stole your joke is you being obsessed with the third thing, needing all the credit, and that's your ego, let it go. There's that school of thought. But most comics don't think like that. Mm-hmm. But I do because I'm just a great person.
I'm getting texted, you gotta go.
What the fuck? Why?
I don't know. They texted me at 3:50 and said he can go till 4:20, but it's a hard stop at 4:20.
Where are we at now?
4:21.
21.
Fucking piece of shit.
That's all right. This has been fucking awesome.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
Well, you gotta.
You better.
Does your wife talk more than you? Or does your girlfriend talk more than you?
No, she doesn't speak English. All right, that's what I think.
That's how you like it.
That's man, marry an immigrant. That's what it is. That's what I did. What I did is I married her. She's from Mexico, and then I put up a wall emotionally. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, hey, this has been awesome.
What a deal! Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
on,
you,
dude. It's
baby.
been awesome,
dude. Big hugs, tiny kisses.